study of the sun and how it affects space.
And I'm Sean Potter from NASA's Office of Communications. I'm also a certified broadcast meteorologist, so today I'll also be tracking our eclipse weather for you.
And as you can see, we are at the College of Charleston in South Carolina at NASA Eclipse Central. From right here, starting at 1 p.m., we will be tracking and covering today's big event, Eclipse 2017.
Today, millions of people across the United States will witness a spectacular event, a total solar eclipse.
As the moon crosses the face of our sun, we're going to be bringing you real-time, breathtaking images in locations across the country. NASA TV has cameras, telescopes, balloons, aircraft, and even spacecraft standing by to bring you views of this natural phenomenon. So get ready to look through the eyes of NASA.
Plus, coming up at our 1 p.m. broadcast, we have NASA experts standing by at locations across the country. They're going to be highlighting views of the eclipse and also pointing out how NASA is using the eclipse to study not only the sun, but also our Earth and its atmosphere.
Now, all of North America will experience a partial eclipse. That's where the moon blocks only part of the sun. A total solar eclipse is going to sweep across the nation along a 70-mile wide path arching from Oregon to South Carolina. This is called the path of totality, and people along that path are going to experience the glorious sight of a fully eclipsed sun.
But first, I want to take just a moment to remind you of some very important eclipse safety tips. First of all, never, ever look directly at the sun. It's not safe for your eyes and could cause damage.
It's really important, and we're going to keep sharing safety tips throughout the broadcast. But for now, let's take a look at today's weather.
That's great. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to show you an image from the GOES 16 satellite. This is the latest and greatest weather satellite that NASA built and launched for our partners at NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, just last year, and it's going to revolutionize weather forecasts. And you can see it's a very detailed picture of cloud cover across the country. And actually, for the path of totality, which remember stretches from Oregon across the midsection through Nebraska and Missouri into parts of Kentucky and Tennessee, and then exiting the U.S. here in Charleston, looks pretty good except for the midsection of the country. Maybe Nebraska and parts of Missouri might see some cloud cover, and then as you get here toward the coast in Charleston, as we look up, we do see some clouds, so we'll keep an eye on that and have more for you later in the broadcast.
Crossing fingers for weather here. An eclipse is something called a transit. A transit is when one celestial body appears to move across the face of another celestial body. And today, that is our moon moving across the face of the sun.
And it's almost time for that transit to begin. 12:05 p.m. Eastern Time, that's 9:05 a.m. Pacific Time, will mark the beginning of the eclipse over U.S. soil.
So let's go right now to Salem, Oregon, to hopefully catch a glimpse. There's a large celebration underway, coordinated by the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry. Jesse Carpenter from NASA's Ames Research Center is standing by.
The corona is so hot. That's like if you were standing next to a fireplace and as you moved away, it got hotter, which is crazy. But we know that it's from those dynamic magnetic fields that we're seeing here.
Okay, I just got word that we haven't started. Okay, I guess we're going from the top.
All right, thank you to Ames.
Thanks, Jesse, and so we begin our eclipse coverage. Also coming to us from Oregon is this stunning image from a telescope located in the town of Madras. In partnership with NASA, the Exploratorium is providing telescope feeds available as a live stream. This makes spectacular views available to everyone. Now, the Exploratorium is a public learning laboratory that explores the world through science, art, and human perception.
So let's talk a little more about that science and what it is that we're actually going to be learning today. A lot of people think that space is completely empty, right?
We'll test a special kind of camera. The team will only have 120 seconds to complete an experiment that may one day change the design of sun-observing spacecraft.
Let's learn more about how this team of NASA scientists is chasing the sun.
The corona can be studied from ground-based telescopes only when during eclipse. Whenever eclipse happens, we make use of it and try to test some of our ideas.
Yes.
We have only 2 minutes to do the experiment, and we have been preparing for maybe more than a year.
Nothing can go wrong. Your camera can't shut down, you can't press the wrong button, and because there's no time to change your mind or make alternate decision.
We are going to set up the telescope and observe the total solar eclipse at 4 different wavelengths, and the images taken in these 4 different wavelengths will be used to determine the temperature and flow speed of the corona.
We are planning to take these images using a polarization camera, which will be a first for us. I think it's the first for the solar physics community. So once the moon completely covers the sun, the experiment begins. It's my job to make sure that the image is in the field of view. So at the correct time, one person has to give the command to turn the filter wheel, and for each filter there's a different exposure time. So another person has to enter the exposure time.
Running 3850 right now.
It's a combined effort of 6 different hands. No one person can make any errors.
8121. We do feel the pressure and also the excitement of the eclipse. Still, we have to focus on our experiment. Hey, all done.
It gives a tense feeling, but I believe we'll succeed.
All right, we got another beautiful shot here of Oregon, and we're getting ready to start showing you imagery from around the country.
That's an amazing shot. And right now, we're going to toss it to NASA Edge, who is standing by in Carbondale, Illinois.
Tell us a little bit about that, because if you've received social media questions about it, you have the data point to respond to that.
Yeah, you know, honestly, when I first saw the eclipse, before the eclipse, I was like, well, I've seen lunar eclipses, I've seen partial eclipses, probably similar in experience.
Looks like Troy's been a real eclipse traveler. I didn't know this about you.
I'm an eclipse chaser now. It's like, but it was the first one I saw was in Turkey, in Side, Turkey, and the next one was in Micronesia. And when the eclipse happened, it was about 85% coverage, as I could see with my pinhole projectors and my glasses. At about that moment, I noticed the sky around me started getting noticeably dark, and the temperature dropped about 10 degrees.
We could use it.
Oh my God, we're totally going to love that. And at that, right as the disk of the moon covered the sun, it was phenomenal. You're overwhelmed with an amazing feeling of being connected to the universe around you, because your vision is, you're seeing things differently, the shadows are changing, the animals are acting differently.
Yeah. Yeah, we know about that. I do want to take a quick moment to say that welcome our friends from NASA TV who are joining us from Charleston. Hope they have clear skies there. We clearly are having clear weather here.
We're having clear weather.
A little bit of clouds, but easy to manage. Great to have you guys joining us. Now, like I said, you have time to check this out, to see these sort of eclipse views. What other strategies could you share with our fans to prepare for the eclipse?
Just to basically, when the eclipse happens, spend all of your time with all the different devices and pinhole projectors before and after totality. The biggest thing that I would recommend is when totality happens, unless you have a camera set up on automatic, don't miss a second of the event. Make sure you are looking at the eclipse. Now, one of the things, some people forget to take their eclipse glasses off during totality, and they miss the whole thing there because they think it's unsafe. But you're not actually looking at the sun during totality. You're looking at the backside of the moon, which is pretty dark.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the darkest blackness you've ever seen. And at that moment, you will see the corona of the sun just magically appear across the sky, and you'll see several stars today. I think we have, and planets. So we have the potential to see 4 or 5, I believe, planets and stars.
Okay, but you have to be pretty strategic at that point, right?
Yeah.
Because that's during totality.
That's during
right? So you got to
totality.
get your solar experience, and you got to swing your telescope around, and see, or will you be seeing them with the naked eye?
You can see it with the naked eye during totality.
Perfect.
I recommend everybody look at it with the naked eye during totality.
Perfect.
But as soon as one bit of sunlight starts to come around the sun, trust me, it is super bright, and immediately put on those glasses and start using your pinhole projectors again.
That's a great point, and it's awesome because we're getting lots and lots of good science and good observational data to prepare everyone for how they can experience the events.
And you know something I have to tell you, we have a Flickr gallery that people are uploading many pictures to right now. So we would recommend and highly recommend that you go to the eclipse2017.nasa.gov site. You'll see the Flickr links there, and these beautiful images that you're seeing right now are images that were already uploaded just over the last several days.
Well, what's interesting is it's not just photos from previous eclipses. We're seeing lots of artwork, lots of really creative work. I think that's spectacular and a great part of what's going on during
is.
this eclipse.
People of all ages are ready for this.
It's fantastic. Well, I tell you what, Troy, thanks so much for coming on. When we come back later, you're going to share with us the results, right? And we're going to talk about that, right?
That's right.
And get more questions. Great. Well, right now, we're going to go inside the stadium to Kevin Boucher, who's with Greg Guzik from the Louisiana Space to talk about this balloon launch that they're going to provide for us. So take it away, Kevin.
I sure will. Thank you very much, Blair. Again, we are standing on about the 30-yard line in Saluki Stadium. And, of course, the stadium is filling up. And with me now is Dr. Gregory Guzik. And introduce yourself. Who are you with?
So my name is Greg Guzik. I'm a professor of physics in the Department of Physics and Astronomy at Louisiana State University. More importantly, I'm actually the director of the Louisiana Space Grant Consortium.
Okay, now what is that consortium? Who is it composed of, and what is its mission?
So the National Space Grant College and Fellowship Program was established by Congress in 1987. It's a nationwide effort. Every state in the Union, plus Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. has a consortium. And for this project, there's a team, a collection of about 55 student teams placed from Oregon to South Carolina who are going to fly balloon payloads very similar to what we're going to fly here from Saluki Stadium.
And when I think weather balloons, I have this image. I think of one of my old Time Life series of books. The National Weather Service was launching a monstrous balloon. This balloon that in my memory was like 100 feet long, but yours are a little bit different. Can you talk about the structure of these balloons?
So these are normal balloons that the Weather Service actually uses, hence the name weather balloons. They're made out of latex, rubber. When they're fully inflated here on the ground, they're about 8 foot in diameter. And as we go up in the stratosphere, they'll expand to about 40 feet in diameter.
Okay. And if I believe right now on your television screen, I think you are actually seeing some data and video from these weather balloons. Oh, also earlier you told me you've been...
All right, thank you, NASA Edge from Carbondale, Illinois. I know you guys were asking about the cloud cover here in Charleston. Unfortunately, it is starting to increase as predicted. I don't know if you can see it over our shoulders here, but it's pretty cloudy right now. But that has not done anything to the enthusiasm of the crowd that's building here.
And now we've got that G3 aircraft, the one we talked about earlier. It's ready. They're 35,000 feet up and ready for us. We have an exclusive feed as they fly over the Pacific Ocean. Kevin Rohr from NASA's Armstrong Flight Research Center is standing by. Kevin.
She's pausing. Hi, welcome aboard. We're on NASA Armstrong's G3 aircraft right above the Pacific coast. I'm Kevin Rohr, and I'll be your host on the aircraft. And a big howdy, and thanks to everybody on the ground that's making this shot happen. We've got a fantastic look out the window right now. We're circling above Lincoln City. We got a little bit of cloud cover down there, but we're going to have a fantastic view of the eclipse, and this should prove to be a wonderful day. With me today is Robert Lightfoot, Administrator of NASA, as well as Dr. Zabukin, Head of Science. And what we're going to do is cut to them really quickly so we can have a little discussion. And what are your impressions today, Robert?
Thanks, Kevin. What a great morning so far over the Pacific Ocean. We got to see the first bites out of the sun from the moon. Just an incredible view so far. I really want to thank all the teams that are out there all over the country helping us to get the most science we can get from here. really going to be an inspirational day and hopefully inspire the next generation of scientists, engineers like me even, in the current generation. Pretty inspirational from that standpoint. Volunteers everywhere, so we're excited about what's going on. And you know, I got to turn it over to my buddy Thomas here. This is his field of study. So Thomas, what do you think so far?
Oh, it's amazing. We're already seeing it happening, right? Why do you think this is important to NASA and the United States?
Well, for us, it's a great opportunity. The totality across the continent, we're going to learn as much as we can. We study heliophysics and astrophysics in NASA, and this is a great opportunity for us to learn even more and have every instrument we have out there available to us to try to understand what we're going to see for the first time in 99 years. So just very, very exciting to see what we can do here and the observations that we're going to get. Can't wait to see the science come in and all the different science we're going to get from here. So, you know, everybody's going to learn something. So you tell me what you think you're going to learn, Thomas, having been studying this for your whole career.
Well, look, my field of study is the sun, and what's really unique about this time is the opportunity to see the solar corona, the atmosphere of the sun, during the entire time of the eclipse stitched together for 1.5 hours. And the sun, of course, is important because it's the most important star. Everything we learn about other stars we learn here first, but it's also a source of weather and radiation. And actually on board this aircraft we have 2 instruments, one from Los Alamos and one from Space Environment Technologies, that make those very measurements of how this radiation affects us.
Yeah, I think it's important. The more we know about the sun, the more we know space weather, it'll help us protect our own spacecraft in the future. It'll also help us protect our astronauts as we send crew further, and our home planet in terms of what's going on here. So why don't you tell me what you think we're going to see today and what we're going to learn today through this just incredible event.
So one of the most amazing parts of this is really to see the star as a magnetic star. And what I'm showing here is actually a prediction of the space environment of the sun today by predictive sciences and 3D printed by applied physics lab. And it basically shows that these magnetic fields are there. And what's really going to be great today is we're able to test these models using observations from the ground that we normally don't have. And so this is really exciting for us.
Very good. We've got over 11 spacecraft and over 50 balloons going up. We've got airborne science like we're even doing here. On the G3, can you explain what we expect to get out of the spectrograph we're going to have here on the plane today?
So a spectrograph is basically taking the light of the sun, which is white, and spreads it into its colors. And what we're going to see is during the time of now and partial totality, we basically see during the partial eclipse, we see the radiation from the surface of the sun, the photosphere, and all colors are there. Well, when we're in total eclipse, what we're going to see is the radiation from the atmosphere that we normally really don't see that up close. And that radiation actually has 2 predominant lines. One is a really hot iron, and the other one is, you know, it's hot because it's 1,000,000 degrees because of that magnetic field. The other one is helium, called helium because of Helios, the sun in Greek. So it was actually discovered during an eclipse, just like it today.
Very cool. So here we are about 30 minutes away from totality. But you can explain to me what you think from a spectrograph perspective. You're going to look out the window. What are you going to see there?
Well, so for me, the amazing part really is that we're able to, of course, see our star in its beauty. And I'm already kind of emotionally touched even now. But also, we're going to see how that eclipse, that the lack of radiation, this perfect cloud that the moon makes affects the Earth and its turbulence. I'm really going to see whether we're going to feel it up here.
Very cool. All right, thanks, Thomas, and thanks for sharing everybody out there. I tell you, about 30 minutes away, we're going to measure as much as we can here, and I'm about to fight this man for a window seat. So when you get on an airplane and you look for a window seat, get your glasses on. We're going to look out here, and we're going to wrap up here from the G3 and send it back to Solar Eclipse Central. See you guys soon.
Wow.
And that's great.
Amazing, yeah.
Thank you to those of you on the G3 to fill us in on what you're going to be seeing from there. Here we are on the other side of the country, here at Charleston, South Carolina. I want to give a shout out to the college. The students here have been so incredibly great for us, and we are actually going to have a chance to go back to Salem, Oregon, and find out a little bit more about what they are seeing there. They're talking about this moon picture right here.
Right, we've got a live picture right now from Salem, Oregon. We were showing you earlier in the broadcast, and as you can see, as we've been sort of describing it as the moon taking a bite out of the sun, it's continuing to happen, and what it looks like, Karen, is like it's almost like the sun. What we see is almost like a crescent moon, but it's not. It's the moon is actually the black portion in the upper right-hand portion of the sun that's being blocked out as we get closer and closer toward totality, which. As Robert and Thomas said from the G3 aircraft, is only about 30 minutes away for folks in Oregon.
And we will go right to Madras, which is right near Oregon. This is another view of the eclipse. One of the great things about this particular eclipse, Sean, right, is that the totality will be over land for so long. So we're about to start seeing it in Oregon, but normally, you know, most times when you have an eclipse, a lot of it happens over the ocean, right? The ocean gets to see it.
Right. So for folks, especially here in the United States, this is the first time from coast to coast that we've seen a total solar eclipse since 1979. And so that's why for a lot of folks are talking about this being a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And remember, it takes about 90 minutes for the totality portion of the eclipse to cross the United States, the continental United States. So as they mentioned earlier from the G3, about 30 minutes from now to totality there, about 90 minutes to get to where we are here in Charleston. So that means what? If I'm time's right, in about 2 hours, we'll be at totality here.
And we are now going to go to Salem, Oregon, where Jesse Carpenter will be talking to Nikki Weil, a solar scientist from NASA.
Welcome back to Salem, Oregon. It is clear, but yes, it is a little bit breezy here
windy,
today.
yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah. I'm joined again with NASA solar physicist Nicolene Weil.
Hi.
Hey, so why don't we just take a look at what we've got going on here now that transit is deep underway.
Yeah, so the moon is crossing in front of the sun, and it's kind of looking like the moon is taking a bite out of the sun. And if you guys have any colanders with you, like a kitchen colander strainer, you can actually see, if you let the sunlight come through that colander and look at the shadow on the ground below you, you'll actually be able to see the projected image of the moon taking a bite out of the sun down on the ground in front of you.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you can just get something from the kitchen and share that with everyone who you're watching this with. That's great.
That's right. Now's the time to take out your pinhole cameras if you have those, or if you have those, you know, the safety eclipse glasses. Now's the time to get these out and make sure to look at the sun with these on.
That's right. You want to be watching safely. And I know we've been talking about it, but we really can't stress it enough. It's very important to be wearing these glasses.
It's just so amazing, though, to see the moon crossing in front of the sun. I mean, you never get to see anything like this.
So, are there some basics that you could share with us? I know we were trying to present some of that a little bit earlier in the show.
Yeah.
But are there some things that maybe you could talk a little bit about the layers of the sun?
Yeah. So there's sort of three outer layers of the sun. There's the photosphere, that's the part we're seeing now. There's the chromosphere and the corona above that. The chromosphere and the corona, that's the solar atmosphere. Now what's cool about today is that usually we get to see the photosphere, the visible surface of the sun. But today, during totality, we're going to get to see the atmosphere, the chromosphere and the corona of the sun. And we don't usually get to see those because they're so much less bright than the sun. It takes something special like today's total solar eclipse to be able to see them. So that's really amazing. We're going to get to see that.
It is so cool. So I think what we're going to be doing now is sending it back to NASA's Eclipse Central in Charleston. Take it away, guys.
Thanks.
And welcome back to Charleston. You can hear these students are really excited for us. And I got to tell you, I had the chance to interview some of them just a few days ago. The College of Charleston students are excited, and I wanted to find out what they knew about the eclipse. Let's watch the video.
All right. So right now what we're looking at on your screen is
Hello, I am Karen Fox with NASA TV. I'm here at the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina, and we are going to spend some time interviewing students to find out what they know about the total eclipse of 2017. What's happening on Monday?
The solar eclipse is happening.
Monday, the eclipse.
the right answer, the eclipse. Are you ready for the eclipse?
Oh, I'm pumped. I've been talking about it all summer.
What is an eclipse?
When the moon moves in front of the sun.
It's when the moon passes in front of the sun and creates a shadow on Earth.
What is the closest star to Earth?
The sun? The sun.
The sun.
The sun? Yes, the sun! Very nice. Will you demonstrate for me putting these on?
We're going to put them over the glasses.
The music you associate with the eclipse. What have you been listening to? What are you going to listen to?
Here comes the sun.
Total eclipse in my heart.
Do 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 do.
Da-na-na, like I saved every letter you wrote me.
And again, this is an opportunity for us to remind folks, regardless of whether you're watching this right now in Oregon or if you're anticipating the beginning of the eclipse from another location in the U.S. or really across North America, wherever you're able to view us from, that it's important that you have to have those safety glasses. We cannot stress that enough. We've been getting a lot of questions on social media, people just emailing us, asking about that. You must have the glasses unless you are in the path of totality and during those brief moments of totality.
Right, and Sean is stressing the glasses, but of course you can also watch the sun indirectly. There are a lot of ways. Nikki Weil, a solar scientist, just told us that you could even pull out a colander because it's got little pinholes in it. You can use a Ritz cracker that has a hole in it. The other thing is you might even see the eclipse image filtering through the space between leaves on a tree. There's some really wonderful ways of catching imagery of it. So, you know, be safe, but don't think you absolutely have to have the glasses. That is not your only option. Should we talk a little bit about the science that NASA's
We should, but
doing
before that, I just want to give a shout out to our website because you're talking about all these great ways to indirectly view it. And again, just a plug for the eclipse2017.nasa.gov site where you can find all kinds of information, but especially some do-it-yourself instructions on how to create some of those indirect viewing methods.
Great. We've talked a lot here about the partial eclipse. Nikki Weil, who you just heard talking, she studies the corona, that is the atmosphere around the sun. And she was telling me just the other day how excited she is that she is going to be able to see that with her naked eye during the actual total solar eclipse. So that's what's interesting. We can only see that normally from space with our space telescopes.
Right, and even with that, I was talking to one of the heliophysicists back at NASA headquarters in Washington, D.C. Recently about this, that even with those artificial eclipses that they create from the coronagraphs, they're called, in space, it doesn't give you the same viewing opportunities that we have with a natural eclipse like we're seeing now. That there's actually a couple different layers of the sun's corona. We have the outer corona and the inner corona, and because of the way those coronagraphs work, they do not allow a good image of the inner corona, the part that's really close to the sun's surface. Only the outer corona. It's only during an actual natural total solar eclipse like we're viewing today across the country that scientists, heliophysicists, and others, and just the general public are able to see the entire corona, and that really gives them a lot more information. And remember, for these scientists, no matter where they are, they only have that brief, maybe 2 minutes, maybe 3 if you're really lucky, right in the center line of totality, to see the entire corona and get those measurements.
Yeah.
So again, Karen, as folks are looking at their screen right now, you see that double image, Salem, Oregon, there on the left, and nearby Madras on the right, two different images with two different types of telescope using to view this eclipse. It's still in the partial stages, starting to get closer and closer toward totality in just a few minutes.
And stick with us because we are going to be tracing this eclipse all the way across the country. Not only does everybody in the country have a great view, but we have some views from the sky, don't we, Sean?
That's right. Looking up from the ground is how most of us will experience today's eclipse, but researchers at Southern Illinois University wanted a different perspective. They wanted to look down at Earth to image the moon's shadow. In Illinois and across the United States, teams are using high-altitude balloons for a unique perspective.
Right now, they're getting ready to launch a research balloon from Saluki Stadium in Carbondale, Illinois. We're going to go back to Carbondale, Illinois. The primary payload will be a real-time, high-definition video system. So let's check in on the progress of that launch.
Holistic astronomy here. We're experiencing it on lots and lots
Eclipse
of
in 4D. It's just like being on the surface.
But, you know, to actually understand the corona is very important because all sun-like stars have their corona. We need to understand why the energy is released in the way it is.
All right, look, we're getting a call. We need to go inside the stadium right now. They're about to launch the balloon for the Louisiana Space Grant Consortium. So let's go to Kevin, who's standing by.
That is what's going to let that get safely down to the ground.
And all those instruments
strung out along there. Attached as well. That's a beautiful sight.
Okay, can you hear me okay, right?
Yes. Balloon launch in less than a minute. So
this is Kevin Boucher. Sorry about the little mix-up. I was too enthralled. I was too enthralled looking at this fantastic weather balloon that has just launched. You can probably see it behind me. It is pandemonium here, but it's good pandemonium. One of the weather balloons has launched, and with me is one of the team members. Introduce yourself to the entire world. No pressure.
Hi, my name is Colleen Fava. I'm the program manager for the Louisiana Space Grant Consortium based at LSU.
Okay, so just to kind of keep a scorecard for people if they're wondering, we talked to, I guess, the program director, Dr. Gregory Guzik. He is your boss.
Yes, he is my boss.
What exactly does your job entail with this consortium?
I manage the program, so I write grants and reports and organize students and keep them on track, and I do communications training.
Sounds like you do a lot of outreach as well, and it thrills my heart, and I'm sure it thrills your heart to see so many of these young people. You probably did not have to drag these young people kicking and screaming to do this help, did you?
No, we brought 4 institutions with us, and LSU is the home team, and so they were always coming, but we actually had a competition to figure out which other students we would bring, and we brought a team of 46 people.
Okay, and right behind you now, I had forgotten they're launching 2 balloons. Now, the first balloon, I think we have a video of the first balloon.
Right on top of it here, just a few more seconds.
Okay, we're getting ready to launch the second balloon.
Watch this balloon get
Both of our balloons launched already. That's
okay. The first balloon, Colleen, that was launched, where is it right now? Maybe 2,000 feet, you think?
They go up about 1,000 feet a minute, so a few thousand. It's probably been a couple of minutes now.
Okay.
So.
There it goes. This other one has launched. It's a big yellow balloon filled with helium. And the next time we see this balloon, we'll be down on the ground. It'll have wonderful data. Can you tell us about what goes into studying the winds and the weather reports, trying to calculate where this will land so you can quickly retrieve it and get your data? That's a whole nother science.
Yeah, so I'm not an expert on it. I can just tell you that we do our predicts. We started our predicts months ago, doing them maybe every week or so, and then the last few weeks we've been doing predicts every single day. So we have a good
And welcome to 23 ABC's continuing digital coverage of today's total solar eclipse. I'm Mike Hart. I'm glad that you're joining us on one of our digital platforms going on. We've been watching this now for almost a full hour as the moon is making its way in front of the sun. Let's go ahead and take another live look from NASA at one of a number of cameras that we're going to be taking at this hour. And there it is, the total eclipse expected to happen at about 10:20. And many people have been pondering, we've been talking about annular solar eclipses, total solar eclipses, and the difference between the two. A total solar eclipse, like the one we are going to see today, is when the entire disk of the sun is covered by the moon. You know, it's basically the distance between the moon and the earth when it covers the sun, whether it's annular or a total solar eclipse. So, total solar eclipse, the moon will completely cover the sun. An annular eclipse, not quite as big, so you still kind of have that, the lunar disk doesn't cover the sun completely, so you got sort of that, what looks like flame going around the outside kind of a thing going on. So it's very, very exciting, and about less than 19 minutes, about 18 minutes away from that complete and total solar eclipse. Now you're looking at pictures from NASA's plane. They've got two of them that are up and that will be taking pictures of this. A live picture from the plane right now. And you might remember it, 23 ABC's Ken Misenci actually took us out to Edwards and got a kind of tour inside the plane and what they were going to be doing and looking at. And that is a shot from there as they're going to be, of course, photographing and documenting today's solar eclipse. And they were saying that this basically will be the most watched and most photographed total eclipse in history. It's kind of exciting there. As we're going to rotate through some different pictures right now as we get a look at that. It's the first total solar eclipse in the continental U.S., as we've been telling you, since February 26th of 1979. And it was just sort of, you know, it kind of clipped the U.S. It was in the five northern states, Montana, and there was horrible weather at the time. So it wasn't a very well-viewed solar eclipse. Many of the networks did have cameras positioned in various places where they could get a shot of it. Before that, you'd have to go back to March of 1970. So that's what we're kind of looking at right now. A solar eclipse happening at new moon. The moon has to be between the sun and earth for a total solar eclipse. The only lunar phase when that happens is a new moon, which is what we're looking at. I'm kind of like cycling through some information right here as we're taking different looks at the eclipse right here. Going back to the shot from NASA right now as their plane making a turn right now, trying to get into better position, I would imagine, for the eclipse. Now, the path of totality that we've been talking about a lot, 70 miles wide. It started out in Madras, Oregon, is where one of our cameras that we have. We'll be switching to that coming up. Go ahead and take it if you can. You can see all the reporters standing around in this shot. It was kind of a funny picture. We'll try and get that back to you in a second. But the path of totality, 70 miles wide, with the best shot of that. Here you go. Now here are all the reporters in Madras, Oregon, waiting to go live in the next about 15 minutes or so. Starts out and sweeps through this state of Oregon into Idaho, through Wyoming. Casper, in fact, is right on the line. Casper, Wyoming. And here we are at Casa Loma. Live picture. There's Elena Rust doing some teaching with the kids out there. How you doing, Elena? As she can hear us, obviously. The path of totality sweeping through Wyoming and Nebraska down into Missouri, kind of clips Kansas just a little bit, but through Missouri, into Kentucky, Tennessee, and down through South Carolina before it just continues on out into the Atlantic. So some spectacular stuff. Elena Rusk and our entire weather team has been putting together some interesting perspectives of the solar eclipse. Leah Pizzetti on set with me now. And what were one of the things that you examined for the upcoming solar eclipse?
I thought I had the best one personally. I got to take a ride in an airplane with a local pilot, a pilot in Tehachapi. He has about 10 planes, and
oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought they were telling me your mic was on. We're looking at the Indianapolis picture right now, and here's a perfect example when we're talking about cloud cover and how this is what they
they're seeing it in and out. But go ahead and continue what you're saying.
No, so that's exactly what they're flying over. So the whole reason that pilots want to be in the sky right now is they're flying above the clouds. In Bakersfield's case, they're flying over the bad air pollution. He actually showed me, we took a trip up in the sky, and he showed me the higher you climbed, you could see the sky just got more blue. And so they're flying up right now. They're probably in the sky. They're getting a better look above the clouds. He said that some of them plan on staying local. They're going to fly above Tehachapi. He was one of those. And some of them are actually flying closer to this line of totality, so flying up north. And he actually also was saying that those smaller airports, very similar to the Tehachapi Municipal Airport, are just completely full. He said, you know, hey, some of them have only a couple hundred spots, and we've had double that reaching out to us, trying to, you know, park their planes here because they want to get the best view.
It's a scary situation with that much air traffic on this day at this time. I mean, to be a air traffic controller on this day, just horrible. More pictures outside. This is Madras, Oregon. Okay. Madras, Oregon, where I expected more fever pitch. Because, you know, it's funny because it's the field and everyone's sitting, but then you see all the tents and cars and everything in the background, and I'm wondering if people just haven't walked over yet?
It really is looking dark, though. It looked like dusk almost. So, yeah, you can see. And that was another thing that the pilots were saying is they want to fly with the darkness.
Oh, okay.
And so what they're going to try to do is find, you know, that eclipse happens, and they want to fly with the darkness as long as possible. And so, yeah, people are just excited.
So that would be from what, west to east? Heading east, going with the movement of the Earth, I guess. Yeah, flying that way. Yeah. I heard that because it's moving so fast. I mean,
and they can't keep up.
Yeah, they can't keep up, obviously. But I was reading something this morning where they were saying that even in the fastest plane, or flying at a plane, if you're perfectly in line and going in the right direction, and you're in that path of totality, you can stay in the darkness. I think they said 4 minutes. Okay. Because the total time of darkness in the best spot in the country was only 2 minutes and 43 seconds.
Yeah,
or 2 minutes
super
and 45
brief.
seconds. So did you get a chance to go out? Were you up on the roof, or did you go out?
I didn't go on the roof, no.
I know we should have run up there while we were still had the chance.
Now we're stuck here.
Now we're stuck in here, taking another look at it. This is just truly amazing. I remember 14 years old the last time this happened, and it was kind of fun. You didn't really see much of it, living in Chicago at the time, and my freshman year, and there's all kinds of excitement, and ABC News putting it out there for everyone to watch, and here we are again. And the ironic thing about this is the next one, if I remember correctly, is scheduled for 2023, I believe, for a total, and then the annular, and the total is in 2024. So many people that were saying, a lot of kids, here you go, another shot of people getting ready.
With their glasses. They have their glasses.
Exactly right.
So, and this is another, I think, maybe piece of confusion that we've had is we've been saying don't look at the sun, right? And I think a lot of people think that there's something weird going on with the sun and that's why you shouldn't look at it. No, it's the normal sun, but think about it. Any other day you wouldn't want to stare at the sun. That would hurt your eyes. And so the reason we're saying don't look at the sun and encouraging that is because people are curious, obviously. They want to look at this eclipse, and so they're going to try to look at the sun longer than they usually would. And so that's where the danger comes in.
Honestly, when I walked outside and put the glasses on and I tried to look at the sun before I put the glasses on, I couldn't even look up at it.
Yeah, because it
was
so
bright. It was just,
So it's the normal sun. It's not like a, cursed sun. I know there are a lot of rumors going around about
werewolves or what is it?
Wolves and curses.
And pregnancies. And there was, reading on NASA's site, they said there is no scientific evidence for anything as a result of an eclipse.
Yeah.
That like a scientific cause of something, a cause and effect. I was hoping that my Powerball ticket that I purchased and lost, I was hoping that it would suddenly turn into a winner.
Did it?
Didn't happen.
Oh.
Not even close.
Bummer.
Yeah, I think I got one number.
So yeah, it's the normal sun. Sorry about that, Mike. Not gonna.
You can hope. You can cross your fingers. We are now 10 minutes away from the full eclipse right now, and
And in Bakersfield, we're looking at about 67%. So total eclipse is happening for people north of us. So that's, you know, Oregon, Idaho. They're going to get that total eclipse. But here in Bakersfield, we're just about 2/3. So yeah,
there's that Indianapolis shot. Just and that's got to be old. That's got to be some video or something, because it's much more eclipsed by now. As we were saying, Oregon, the first state to see it, ironically, because we're going to see our little part for about 2 minutes and something, but on the Oregon coast, only 1 minute and 58 seconds. That's all they're going to get of the complete.
Wow.
Oh, look at this, Griffith Observatory.
Look at all those people.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Now, do they each take a turn at the telescope?
I would not want to wait in that line. But yeah, if you have your NASA approved glasses, you're good to look. We've got a pair right here. So yeah, these are okay to look at the sun. They're just going to completely block the light out. So it makes it so you can look at it longer.
And if you don't have your glasses yet, then I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And these glasses won't work. Actually, no.
Sunglasses won't work. No, you need these.
Not.
And yeah, they were a hot commodity.
I was making fun of these glasses this morning with Elena, because I kept looking up into the studio lights saying, I can't see anything still.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
see,
total dark. I can't see
anything.
anything.
And then the minute I walked outside to do it, there she is. There's Elena, home of the Comets. Isn't that ironic? Home of the Comets, Casa Loma. And she's got her glasses on. But I was kidding around. And we were talking about the glasses. The minute I walked out, it was like, oh, they work.
Okay.
It was amazing.
Cool. Elena.
How's it look out there?
Yes. It's fantastic. So I only have one pair and I can't share with all the kids. So I'm gonna put these away because it's not fair for me to have them and nobody else. But we're using pieces of paper. So if you're at home and you're like, oh, I can't look at the sun, get your piece of paper, and we just took a pencil, poked a hole right in the middle, and so that's what the kids here are doing. You can see they're using their piece of paper to then cast the shadow down onto the concrete below. It helps if you have a second piece of paper there on the ground, because then you can line up that pinhole right down into the ground and use kind of that second piece of paper as your viewing screen. It was fun. We were on the grass a little earlier, and so the kids were then looking at the shadow on blades of grass. Now you can see we've moved out here onto the concrete, so it's a little easier. And they're using these pieces of paper to do several shadows. It's really neat for them to all be watching this, because the last one happened before I was even born. Like you were saying, the next one is in 2023. That one's pretty cool because it's from Northern California to Texas. So the people who are saying once in a lifetime opportunity, not so much because we're Californians, but it will be several more years. So you're going to want to go out and check this out before it ends at 11:43.
Thanks, Elena. And yeah, so she's talking about those glasses. So yeah, once again, we have these glasses, and you need the NASA approved glasses. So a lot of things were going around. People were selling knockoffs, essentially. So yeah, you need these NASA approved glasses to look at the sun. But if you don't, hey, Elena just showed you an awesome trick. You can still look at it. That's so cool.
Another shot from Oregon. Let's look at this again. And now we haven't changed anything, folks. We haven't touched no filters or anything. This is the exact same shot that we just showed you 5 minutes ago.
Wow.
Where we were making fun when I was saying, where is everybody? There must be still in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Look how dark it is now.
Oh my gosh.
You know what? I wonder if your microphones, can you if you could sneak outside?
Yeah, I'll go outside.
And see if your mic can, last all the way out there.
Okay, I'm walking out of the studio.
All right, we're going to see if we can hear.
All right, let's see how it's looking outside in Bakersfield. Oh yeah, it's definitely not as bright as it usually is. Wow. So the sun's on the other side of the building. I can't see the sun.
Oh.
Sorry.
We're on the wrong side. Oh, goodness. Oh, that's funny. Let's go back to NASA's picture right here. We are just a couple minutes away. NASA telling us at 10:22, let me see if I can get that exact time, because you know NASA, they're always like right on the money.
It's like they know what they're doing.
Yeah, a bunch of scientists back there. And get that exact. One thing I wanted to talk, one of the places, I was mentioning this earlier as we were looking at the path of totality. One of the places, and all these small little towns all across the country have suddenly become the epicenter. People are flocking into these towns, and there's runs on gasoline and places. And Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Little tiny town of Hopkinsville, Kentucky.
One of the places?
And I thought it was, it's kind of interesting. And it's supposed to be one of the absolute best, because they pinpoint where it's going to be absolute best and the longest you can watch it. One place is Hopkinsville, Kentucky.
Hey.
You know what they're known for?
What?
They cited UFO. They have claimed to have sightings of UFO in 1955.
No. So, hey, maybe.
If I could go live anywhere in the country, that's where I'd want to be.
I bet those people are just so excited.
Do you think they're flipping out, especially the people that thought they saw it?
Oh, yeah.
The UFO. Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry. I shouldn't say
100%.
thought. They do really think they saw it. So the people that said, I saw the UFO, are now looking at the eclipse saying, they're coming back.
Is this it right now?
This is it right now.
Oh my gosh, you
This
can't even
is-
see any. It looks
you know
like
what's
total darkness.
Yeah, oh, look at this. This is from the NASA plane, one of two that is up taking a picture of it right now. And there you go.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So cool. So yeah, we're just a couple minutes away
That
from
is-
that total eclipse of the heart.
Well, it's actually if we're going to be doing that, the words are total eclipse of Mike Hart.
Oh, total eclipse.
Total eclipse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
So I don't know if we're going to be able to get it, but the International Space Station, the astronauts up there are taking. Well, so let's look at this next shot. Let's go ahead and put this one up.
Oh, cool.
Absolutely gorgeous.
And also, just another side note, if you are out there and you're looking and you're thinking, wow, this is so cool, I should take a picture also, it sounds like not so good for your iPhone cameras.
No.
So be
Now, one
very
thing
careful.
one thing that was really interesting when they were about all of this is they said, if you're in the path of totality, where you're going to see that, you can actually look at that with your naked eye.
Yeah, because it's
for
covered.
like 30 seconds or
Yeah,
whatever they say.
that makes sense.
But yeah, and then you won't do any damage.
But
to
here we have about a third
just
that's still sun.
Yeah.
So still could be unsafe.
As hard as you try to look, I don't think you're going to be able to look.
It'll hurt.
Yeah, it's
And
going to
please
hurt.
don't harm your eyes.
Exactly right. There we go. It's kind of interesting because I'm no astronomer or astrological expert, but to me that looks completely covered.
That does, yeah. Well, we're
But
just,
you know that there's
what, 3 minutes
somebody
away?
right now at NASA saying, no, not for another two and a half minutes.
But that's cool that it looks like it lasts a little longer.
Let's take this other angle again. I say angle, there's a sliver. And obviously it depends on where you're taking this shot from as to how they both look different. Here, let's take a picture of this. This is from I was going to say back to the reporters because they're all just kind of standing and looking up in the air. They're looking up at the sky. There you go.
That's what I'd be doing.
Oh, they turned the light off. Yeah. Yeah, look at her. She's saying, turn that light off.
Wow, look at the reporter behind her.
Everybody's just freaking out right now.
This is so cool. So we have about
It's
2 more minutes.
Completely amazing. Let's go back if we can. Can we get back to the full circle, the shot, because we're just about. Yeah, wow. We're just about less than 2 minutes away from when the total was supposed to happen. Now, I don't even know what we're looking at here.
Is that the eclipse? Is it?
No, it looks like somebody's windows in the background.
Total darkness?
I guess there you go. Do we have the one shot of the full circle with the ring around it, or no?
All right, we'll get that up for you. But yeah, we're about, a minute and a half away from that. And once again, Bakersfield, we're looking at about 2/3 coverage. So not that total eclipse. You have to go more north for that. But
Right.
we get a decent amount. We get about 2/3 coverage of that sun.
Not bad. There are many, Bakersfield City School District, one of several that said we're not letting the kids outside to go look at this today to sort of protect them. Here, once again, now it's moving past.
Yeah.
So now it has slipped past the sun. We have passed. I guess NASA was off a little bit. No, I'm kidding. It all depends on where you're viewing it from. But if you can we jump back to Oregon with everyone that's standing and watching?
You're not going to be able to see them. It's going to be totally dark.
No, because they had the shortest view, where it was only going to be completely eclipsed for a minute 56 or something like that.
Yeah.
And as we continue to cycle around,
that's a cool shot.
Wow.
And you know what, also, a lot of these towns, like I was saying with the pilots, there's smaller airports that can't handle all the pilots who want to come and view the eclipse. It's the same for people. People are driving. These are small towns, the restaurants, the hotels, they're not used to this, all of this traffic. So this is going to be a crazy weekend for a lot of smaller towns up north.
And then trying to get home, that's the big thing. Because we had Chuck Mast, works at the Buena Vista Museum of Natural Science, And he jumped in his RV. We talked to him last Friday, hopping in his RV to drive up there. His daughter lives in Medford, Oregon, which is in the path of totality. So he didn't have to find a hotel. He didn't have to. He kept saying, "All I have to do is get there." So now all he has to do is get home, which is going to be quite the little drive for him as well. Yeah, just amazing. And we're not going to see. You know what? The one thing that was amazing is everyone kept saying it's been 38 years. It's been 38 years since the last one. 38 years. But we won't have to wait that long for the next one. The next one is in 2023 for an annular eclipse, and in 2024 for another total.
Yeah. And you know, the cool thing about this one, you've also probably heard the number 99 thrown around. It's been 99 years. It's been 99 years since it has crossed the entirety of the United States. So that's where that number came from. So we still will have them, like you said, every couple decades. They just won't cross the whole U.S. So this one is cool because it does cross the entirety of the United States. So everyone will have some sort of view, whether it's that total or just a partial. So we are part of those people with the partial, unfortunately.
Just amazing. I could just sit here and just stare at and the sad thing is, well, it's not the sad thing, but the funny thing is that we're going to be staring at these pictures and whatnot on everyone's news feed on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram for the next several hours.
Well, it's cool. It's cool.
Can't we get any closer? No.
I know, yeah.
That's just amazing that we're that close to begin with. That is absolutely incredible.
And you know, we also, in Bakersfield, we're watching storms. There are some storms east of us that it looked like I was doing weather over the weekend. Oh, look at that. It's dipping out just a little bit.
There we go.
Oh, cool. Wow. But over the
Looks
weekend...
like, didn't they use this shot in one of the Superman movies where he's coming around, the sun comes up right now?
Looks like it. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw Superman jump out. No, but over the weekend we're watching these storms that are moving into Bakersfield, Kern County, and for a while there I thought we were going to have more than 50% cloud coverage in our sky right now. But it looked like, I think the heavens were helping us out. So the clouds are staying east of us. They're rolling in later today, but right now we're pretty lucky in Bakersfield. Not that much cloud coverage, tiny bit, but not enough that will affect our viewing.
Yeah. And we were talking earlier about the length of the eclipse, just under 2 minutes in Oregon. The longest viewing, apparently, 2 minutes and 40 seconds. I can't remember what I said earlier at 2:40, but it's 2 minutes 40 seconds in Carbondale, Illinois, home of Southern Illinois University and the Salukis.
Oh, hey.
They get the best part. I had a friend that went there.
I had a friend who went there.
Did you really?
Yeah.
They were Salukis?
Yeah.
How small this world is. How tiny. There it is. The point of the eclipse has now passed.
So, but
we're told the best view. Now I'm going down all of these websites. Only one large city has a great view, and that was Nashville. I'd like to be in Nashville right now.
Yeah, that'd be
600,000 people plus probably another 600,000.
Yeah.
What do you think that rolled into Nashville?
Oh, for sure.
Just to get a look at that today.
But the cool thing is, so we are now past that prime viewing time. 10:20 was our prime viewing time, but it's not like it just, jumps out of the way. It's over now. It'll still be eclipsed until just before noon.
Right. Casper, Wyoming, also in the path of totality.
That looks like the moon, if you ask me. A little slow.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're exactly right.
But that's actually the sun.
It's a crescent moon.
Yeah.
Nah, it's actually the sun, yes.
Yeah.
Go back to Indianapolis again. I feel bad for Indy.
You do?
Yeah, look, they got the clouds.
Oh, ooh, yeah. Wow.
Because earlier this week, if I'm not mistaken, Elena was talking about a chance for clouds to mess it up, to mess up our view.
Until 24 hours ago, 2 days ago, I thought that there were going to be clouds. But then they moved on over, so we're good. We are watching storm chances, though, in Kern County through the next couple days, though.
Some of the other cities across the country getting a really good view. Atlanta, going to see a 97%. I guess that's about as good as you can get right there.
That's a big city. That's a lot.
Yeah. We're better than LA, actually.
Hey.
Our percentage is better than LA.
Because we're more north of them.
LA's percentage was 62. Only 62%. We are at 67.1. Yeah, something. Yeah. 67 and change. Yeah, our view was better than we had an equal view. Houston's getting the same view we are.
Okay.
We got a better view than Phoenix.
Nice.
LA. And well, and then, yeah.
Even if you went up to
Illinois.
like Sacramento, I think had an 80 or 98%.
Mm-hmm.
So just honestly, the more north you go, the better you are.
Yeah, just checking around right now. And let's take this shot of the reporter oh, we lost it. We're looking at our preview monitor of things that are coming up as you're looking at that. There. Now see, it was just dark. What?
Wow.
3 minutes ago? 4 minutes ago?
Oh my goodness.
When we took this shot,
Yeah.
it looked like it was dusk.
It looked like it was nighttime.
Yeah. And
now it's back
boom,
to day.
Gone. There you go. Enjoyed that minute and 56 seconds of the solar eclipse. Once again, back to Casper, Wyoming. The next total solar eclipse right now is April 8th, 2024.
That's pretty soon.
That's right. The duration saying it's going to last 3 minutes and 22 seconds on the eastern coast near Maine, stretching all the way up to 4 minutes and 27 seconds in southwestern Texas. Wow.
And now Elena was talking about the next one also being in California.
That would be the annular eclipse in October of 2023.
Okay.
You know, and we had to wait so long.
Yeah.
Since for this one.
And now we're going to have a whole bunch.
Oh, yeah, we'll have one in 6 years.
Yeah.
6 years. October 14th, 2023. That potentially could be like a home opener for the Bakersfield Condors, perhaps.
You think it is?
Well, this year's is October 12th.
Oh.
October 4th. Well, they'd have to move the game to a day game, plus they'd have to be outside. Yeah, that's not going to work. Yeah, that's not going to work. But it would be a fun promotion. I know the guys over there would just love it.
Yeah, they would.
All right.
So this, once again, is going to end, I believe it's 11:44?
Yeah,
right
in
before
that ballpark.
noon
Right.
is when the moon will no longer be covering the sun at all. So we have until then, or it'll be moving out of the sun's way. So
if you didn't see this one, and you didn't get a chance to drive or fly up to the path of totality, you have till April 8th of 2024 to work it out.
There you go.
For the next one.
Yeah.
Because if you miss that, then you're going to wait 20 years.
Okay.
Because after 2024, it's not going to happen again until 2044. And I'm definitely going to be around for that.
You're going to buy another lottery ticket?
Oh, I'm going to be around for that because it's like 2 days before my birthday. So I'm definitely going to be hanging on for 20.
Well, this one was here for my birthday. My birthday was on Saturday, so.
Perfect. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah. Not giving you the eclipse here.
Good gift. Eclipse.
There you go.
Wow, look at that. This one it's looking like it's almost completely out of the way.
Man, this is great because this is Indianapolis. Oh, okay. It's just so strange. I mean, obviously, when we're talking about taking different camera shots from all over the country, you've got different angles, you've got different viewpoints, different filters. I'm not quite sure what filter they're using on this, but it's truly amazing just looking at all the different.
Oh, wow, look at that.
And there's Madras.
Still dark.
Uh-oh.
Oh, my goodness.
Maybe Madras isn't going to get light again. No, I'm just kidding. We are also scanning a number of our Scripps affiliates all across the country, and they're going to be uploading their vantage points and their views throughout the day, and hopefully we'll be able to bring you some of those online or on the 5 and 6 o'clock. So we're going to break away and just go back to our static NASA camera to give you the view of it as it continues. Our coverage, we will be back at 11 a.m. For our regular news, but since ABC News has hijacked our Channel 23, we will be right back here on our digital platform to bring you local news and local coverage of the total solar eclipse coming up in just a little bit at 11 o'clock, just about a half an hour from now. That was amazing.
Yeah.
That was
great.
Cool.
We got to
Love
watch
the
that.
shot with the glow around it.
Yeah.
The glow. That's
going to be one that you want to look back on.
That's going to be my screensaver, I think, for a while.
It's going to be a lot of people's.
All right. It's going to do it for us right now. Continue to enjoy. We will leave you with pictures of NASA. We will sit on this shot for you. And every now and again, we'll switch it up, give you different viewpoints from across the country as the total solar eclipse continues. See you at the top of the hour right here on our digital platforms.
excited.
Wow. It's already so
eerie. Wow, it just got dark all around us. And you can feel the temperature getting colder here.
Oh, yeah. The winds are really picking up. You know, this dark area, the winds are just flowing in.
Oh, you can... It's just a tiny, tiny sliver right now. It's all closing up.
There it goes. It's going. Getting smaller. Oh, look at the ray structure. You can't get that on film. There's Venus.
Oh, wow.
There's Venus. Oh, wow. Wow. Oh, look at that ray structure.
You were saying this is the only way you can see the atmosphere.
Yeah, that lower part of the corona is really even hard from space to see. Wow. Wow. I got to spend a second looking around at the crowd. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Wow. Wow.
We should turn off the lights.
All right, to get ready to put them back on here, son.
Okay.
Pretty quick.
Have you noticed, Jim? The street lights are all on around
the
us.
street lights turned on,
We
of course.
confused the street lights.
Of course. Who would have thought? That we didn't plan that one.
All right, we should get ready for our glasses again. Get ready with your glasses.
Okay, there it goes. There's the diamond ring. There's the diamond ring.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, wow.
That is
Was
so...
that all right?
Oh my gosh. Whoa! Oh, that's brilliant.
All right. Wow.
Okay, glasses back on.
Wow. Too brief. Too brief. Too brief.
Okay. We're going to have to wrap this up pretty soon, Jim. That was incredible.
Way too brief.
Yeah.
Way too brief.
We got a minute 50 seconds.
Yeah.
That was all we had. Why is it that some parts of the country get a little more than we do?
Well, it has to do with the curvature of the Earth also. And so the shadow is at various altitudes. You could go up at a higher altitude and get also a great view too.
Well, this was a real treat. This was fantastic. So Idaho Falls has had its total eclipse. The next one is coming in 2252. We won't be here, but we hope NASA will. Back to you.
Gay Hill, that's Gay Hill from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Gay, I'm jealous. I'm telling you, I'm jealous. So, Alex, explain again that diamond.
Well, so the last bit of sunlight, when you see it at the very beginning, is when the last bit of the sun, the crescent, shrinks down to a little tiny bit. And at the same time, you can see a ring of the corona around it, so that makes the ring, and then that bright bit of crescent gives you the diamond. So when it reappears, you get the same thing. The last bit of corona is a ring. The flash of the sun is the diamond, giving you the diamond ring. It's a beautiful, beautiful sight.
And real quick, and then I'm going to ask you a question because there was something going on here in Charleston. The planetary, Jim Green said something about Venus. This is really cool for planetary science because you can see other planets, right?
Absolutely, and as a matter of fact, one of our missions through the WB-57 aircraft are studying Mercury, which is very, very close to the sun.
Okay, so we're gonna come back to you, and we're gonna talk about what's happening here. So the next up, NASA's ready to take a bite out of the Big Apple, one of my favorite cities, Johnny, New York City. New York City. Today's broadcast is being shown, I believe, in Times Square on the Toshiba Vision screen, so the city can also enjoy the spectacular views of today's total eclipse. And we've got a great relationship with Toshiba, so a shout out to you guys. This Midtown Manhattan tourist location is always bustling with crowds. On the average day, over 300,000 people pass through Times Square. Alex, I'm going to turn to you. You know, New York, they're going to get a partial, but they have a rich history in solar eclipses.
They really do. So actually 92 years ago, on a cold January morning, New York City, Manhattan, and Queens experienced a total solar eclipse. The edge of the path of totality went from 95th Street to 97th Street. This was an amazing opportunity. This was the first time we sent up 2 dirigibles with the U.S. Naval Service for scientists to study this. At the time, we actually thought eclipses could be creating radio waves which mess with communication. But what in fact is happening is the sun itself is creating this disturbance. So studying the eclipse is actually telling us about the sun, which is creating these disturbances here on Earth.
Yes.
Okay, so this just in. I believe we have results from an experiment that occurred on NASA's Gulfstream 3 aircraft from NASA's Armstrong Flight Research Center. Karen Rohr is standing by with Thomas Zabukin, Research Administrator for the NASA Science Mission Directorate. Let's go now to see what the instrument observed during the total solar eclipse. Kevin.
And we're back here at the G3 up over the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Oregon. And it was amazing, wasn't it?
It was outstanding.
And so for me, like, you know, at 25 years I did research on the corona. I saw it for the first time. It was my first eclipse. Was it your first eclipse?
My first eclipse as well.
Just absolutely amazing. And I want to talk about 2 things. First of all, the shape of the corona. You know, I saw the models, I showed the model, and it was remarkably similar. You know, I saw these streamers, these magnetic structures coming out like glows in specific directions, just like we expected. So I'll look for the analysis before we claim victory, of course. But the other one is that spectrograph you, Mike, you know, ran on board. And just before that the sun, you know, disappeared behind the moon, that spectrograph, of course, is spreading out the light in all its colors. Just before it disappeared, there is that one shot. And Laurie, I want to ask you whether you can turn it on. Do you see those specific kind of lines that pop up between the green and the red? It's just like we said, it's helium. Remember, that's how it was discovered, helium. We didn't know we had helium here. It was a new element. It was discovered that way. And then over there in the red, between the green and the red, is iron. Iron, a really hot iron, telling us that, hey, this atmosphere is really hot. And then a little bit over, it's another line, red. Well, what is that? Well, it's hydrogen. Well, so even though it's really hot up there and only 1 in a million or 10 of million particles are neutral, it's still visible in that one shot that you saw. So Robert, back to you here, back on Earth. What did you feel like? How did you see this occur?
Yeah, so it was fascinating to watch actually the shadow or the path of totality underneath us. We're at 35,000 feet, and you could see at totality, you could actually see the darkness down on the ground. And you could look north and south and see where it wasn't completely dark. And as we kept going, you could just watch that darkness move. It was almost like a thunderstorm moving across the plains, but it was all the darkness, and it was just stunning to me to see that. So really, really good stuff, and I wasn't expecting that. And of course, the eclipse itself was beautiful, but seeing what happened down on the ground level of Earth from 35,000 feet was amazing. I just got to tell you, the team on this plane and the team all the way around this country is just doing a fantastic job. I wish you could have seen the folks here working to make sure we got the data that Thomas showed, some fantastic images we've already looked at that I can't wait to share with everybody and for everybody to see. But really exciting to watch this team work, and the pilots did a great job. We had a little bit of a challenge right at the time of when we needed to be best, but they did a great job recovering from that, and then kept us on path all the way through. So anyway, so thank you guys. Remember to put your glasses on for those of you who hadn't seen it yet, and we'll talk to you soon.
Fantastic stuff. And if you just tuned in here, you're watching Through the Eyes of NASA, NASA television. We have the best views of the solar eclipse today and coming later in the show. You don't want to miss this, the International Space Station live. Now, next up, let's visit a working farm at Austin Peay State University in Clarksville, Tennessee. Agricultural observations and solar eclipse viewing activities are underway, including high-altitude balloon launches and painting cows.
Painting cows? What?
Okay, all right. So now let's go to the NASA Marshall Space Flight Center. Chris Blair standing by.
Humans are naturally excited about the solar eclipse, but one thing we've learned on this working agricultural farm is that animals can as well. But more on that in a moment, as right now we're getting ready to do a live scientific balloon launch. And joining us to tell us more is Dominic Critchlow from Austin Peay State University. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. So tell the crowd and our audience a little bit about the scientific payload you have on board.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Today we're flying some still image equipment, and we're going to be taking images of the ground in different wavelengths. And we're also flying live streaming equipment, so we can live stream the eclipse looking downwards and looking around and at 100,000 feet, which is higher than any plane has ever gone. We're also flying some biological samples with NASA Ames and then our trackers so we can have a successful recovery.
Okay, and they've just released your balloon, so let's talk about the NASA science and the biological samples. Explain more.
So NASA Ames has contacted us and all of the other teams that are going to be doing launches today across the whole path of the eclipse. We're going to all have a little chip of biological samples on there that are going to go up in the stratosphere, which is a similar atmosphere as we would see on the Martian surface. So we're doing some Martian studies, which is really interesting and cool.
We are very excited about that. And so also, how many balloon releases are you planning on doing this today or this weekend?
And so all across the U.S., we have about 50 teams that are launching in the path of the eclipse so that we can have a full coverage of the stream. And on the site today, we have 3 launches from 3 different universities. And we're just really excited to be here and hopefully all successful launches.
All right, so finally, these balloons do go up and they come back down. And so what's some advice if anyone finds one of these payloads out and about across the country? What's a tip you would tell them?
If you find it, leave it there. Maybe take a picture because it's kind of cool to see something land in your backyard from research. And please don't touch it. We'll be there soon to pick it up. If you have to move it, let us know, and we'll just be there to recover it.
Awesome. Thanks. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, so yesterday we had a chance to catch up with some serious students, albeit a little younger, but serious about doing real-world science nonetheless. And here to tell us more is my good friend and colleague, Mitzi Adams from NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. Mitzi, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. So tell us about the science that these high school students are working on.
Well, the students are actually working on some atmospheric science experiments. They're doing animal study experiments, and they're helping us observe the sun in various wavelengths of light.
And these students aren't just from the Clarksville area. I understand they're all around the country, if not perhaps the globe.
The students are from the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, and yes, they are from all around the globe. And they're actually from the INSPIRE project as well. They're participating in VLF radio noise experiments, and those folks are from Washington, D.C.
All right, excellent. So you mentioned the Space and Rocket Center, Space Camp. That's the official visitor center for NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center. Feel free, if you're in northern Alabama, to come and see us. They do a great job of representing a past, future, and present history of NASA. So any parting words?
Well, you know, in the words of Frank Reynolds, I'd like for us to remember for the next American eclipse in 2024, let the shadow of the moon fall on an earth at peace.
Very poetically done. We appreciate it. All right, so up next is, as promised, our Animal Lovers segment. And so here on the agricultural farm, students are studying really cool STEM fields. So it's conservation management, it's veterinary medicine, animal biology, and so they're interested in animal behavior. And so joining us is Dr. Donald Sudbrink, head of the Ag Department here at Austin Peay State University. And so it's not cow tipping, it's cow painting, correct?
Yes. We had to paint the cows that are in this study to see what sort of things that they would do so we could record the individual animals so we could see what behaviors that they were exhibiting.
So we saw the cows, and the students were involved with that Mitzi just spoke about. And we're also talking about cricket behavior and cricket observations.
Yeah. Yes. Well, we're also talking about crickets. I'm an entomologist by training, and crickets generally chirp at night. So we're going to get a chance to see a series of isolated males and see what they do when the sun goes out.
Okay, excellent. Well, glad you all are doing this kind of observational research. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So, and speaking of time, it's almost time for us, everyone here at Austin Peay State University, to actually watch the solar eclipse. So let's go back live for continuing coverage of NASA's eclipse across America from Charleston.
Okay, so, Yadi, I wonder if the milk tastes better when you paint the cows.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
All right, let's go to social media. We've been in the show here, and I know it's a buzz. So over to John Yerbick for social media update.
Yeah, last time I looked, Dwayne, there were 2.1 million people looking online on our website, on our 1.2 on our live stream. So it was a huge conversation, and Solar Eclipse 2017 is still trending #1 on Twitter. So it's been huge. Can we go to the first slide here that I've got up? This right here is an amazing photo. Sometimes they say you have to be at the right place at the right time. This is taken by one of our NASA photographers, Bill Ingalls, out in Washington. And he captured, it's hard to see here in this pic, but he captured the International Space Station transiting the sun during the partial eclipse there in Washington. Pretty amazing. You kind of have to look closely. We'll also be putting these images up online if you want to see them. But one of those little dots there is the International Space Station traveling at 17,500 miles per hour. Here's another one from our photographer in Wyoming. Same concept, capture the space station. We knew exactly when the space station was going to be flying, what its orbit was, and when it was going to cross the sun. And look here, it's just an amazing sight. I'm really proud of our photographers for getting these shots and proactively trying to get something that no one else probably has and thinking through and getting this great image. So let's take a few questions from social media. I want to remind our viewers at home that you can ask questions to us here on the set and on social media with the hashtag Eclipse 2017. So why don't we bring it back here to the stage? First question is from Twitter. What if we wear sunglasses instead of eclipse glasses? Will we actually be able to see the eclipse? The sunglasses help? Does it give you any sort of protection?
No, that's definitely a no-no. You should not wear sunglasses, normal sunglasses. Always wear the actual sunglasses that are made for solar viewing, like the ones that I'm having here right now in my hand. And if you don't have the sunglasses, you never look directly at the sun. You look like you do an indirect projection of that eclipse. Never look at the sun without the proper safety.
So another question here comes from Deborah from Facebook. So the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and the Earth rotates in clockwise motion. Please explain how it starts in the west and ends in the east.
Well, so the Earth is rotating from west to east, but actually the moon is moving faster, about 3,400 miles an hour, casting a shadow down on the Earth, which is rotating about 1,700 miles an hour. And that actually means that the shadow is moving from west to east across the Earth at about somewhere between 1,200 to 1,800 miles per hour, depending on where you are on the Earth.
Okay, great. We have another one. I think we have time for another one. Tina from Facebook's asked, if I place a lens from the eclipse viewing glasses over a viewfinder on my iPad, could I successfully video the eclipse, or would it fry my camera?
Yeah, you can actually look with the iPad or your phone to the eclipse. The only thing is, you have to be very careful not to look at it with your own eyes without the actual safety glasses. Never look at it through any lens.
Okay. This is Mickey from Facebook. Hey, NASA, can the International Space Station see the shadow of the moon crossing America from space? Do they have that view when they're looking from space?
They do, and that's what we're hoping to see from them. Yes.
Excellent. So, John, we're going to come back to you. So I think we're going to go back to Sean, our meteorologist. Let's learn more about how NASA is studying the Earth and Sun relationship during this eclipse. Sean, can you tell us more about that?
Right, thanks, Dwayne. So during the eclipse, the moon acts like a giant cloud as it passes over areas in the path of totality, casting a large shadow on Earth's surface. Now, the footage you're seeing right now shows a solar eclipse that occurred in March of 2016 over Indonesia. That experience helped us determine how best to study today's eclipse. These images were taken by NASA's EPIC instrument aboard NOAA's Deep Space Climate Observatory, or DISCOVER. It's just one of the instruments we'll be using today to study the eclipse as we monitor changes in Earth's energy balance. Scientists have made extensive atmospheric measurements during eclipses before, but this is the first opportunity to collect coordinated data from both the ground and from a spacecraft that observes the entire sunlit Earth during an eclipse. Dwayne, back to you.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, so now we have a special guest with us today, the Associate Administrator for NASA's Office of Communication, Jinray Wong. Jinray, welcome.
Dwayne, thank you. So happy to be here.
Oh, it's an exciting day.
It's a
I'm glad
wonderful
you're
day.
to join the team here. And Our next location you are pretty familiar with, I'm sure.
I'm very blessed, and I do know something about the great state of Nebraska. I've actually lived there for the last decade, and I have friends and family who are watching there from the Path of Totality. I have to tell you, this is by far the biggest thing that's happened in Nebraska as of recent. It's absolutely fabulous. I have had friends from high school and college calling me up, Facebook messaging me, asking where they can get their glasses, where they should be viewing from. So it's just a really exciting day for everyone who's watching along the Path of Totality. It's also a really exciting day for NASA. And in fact, this gives us an opportunity to look forward as well. And we have a future study that we are going to be doing for to study the sun. NASA is going to launch a new spacecraft next year, the Parker Solar Probe, and it will fly directly into the solar atmosphere. The mission will provide first of its kind data. And for more information on this future mission, let's go to Beatrice, Nebraska, where Vince Whitfield from NASA's Langley Research Center is standing by. He's at Homestead National Monument, where the National Park Service has coordinated an eclipse viewing. Vince?
And just in, I think we're having, Vince is going to come up shortly, Jen Ray, so we're going to go back with an image, but we will be doing Nebraska as soon as we can. So a shout out to the great state.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, Jody and Alex, this is a different view here. What are we seeing, Alex?
Well, so we're looking at a different wavelength of visible light. It's called calcium K. So this is light that's produced by excited calcium. And this is showing us the sun as the moon is moving over it. And in fact, if you look over to the left on the edge of the sun, you actually see sunspots.
A sunspot, yeah.
And these are regions that heliophysicists like myself and Jari are most interested in, because that's where solar explosions originate from. In fact, the magnetic fields that come up into the corona that we see during the total solar eclipse originate from those sunspots.
Yeah. Actually, this sunspot had a solar flare yesterday.
Right, and I believe this is coming from Carbondale, so that's, now it's
a bluish light, and so it comes out as a purple color. But it is a type of visible light. It's one we look at quite often from both space and the ground and look in the sun.
Now I see some black thingies, look like a little river. You see it over there near the corner on the left?
Yeah, that's the sunspots.
Now what's a sunspot, just for our audience here?
Those are the regions where most of the space weather actually originates, the solar flares, the coronal mass ejections, are regions of the sun that have very complicated magnetic fields. And these are where most of the magnetic energy is actually released.
Right, so those are regions of super intense magnetic field, 1,000 times stronger than the Earth's magnetic field. And those have lots of energy and they drive space weather.
Okay, I think that's why we didn't get the Nebraska feed right now. Those things cause that, I think, right?
That's right, we're getting a little glitch.
Hopefully we get Nebraska. Okay, Sean, we're going back over to you. We'll talk about moon shattering.
Wayne, we've got some really incredible imagery for you. This is again from the GOES 16 weather satellite, just launched last year by NASA for our friends at NOAA. And what you're seeing in the western portion of this image is actually the moon's shadow being cast over parts of the path of totality. And of course, you see the cloud cover across the U.S. as well. And as I was telling you earlier, it's actually looking pretty good for most of the western parts of the U.S. that are in the path of totality. Not so good for maybe parts of the central U.S., where we've got some thunderstorm activity developing and expected to develop later today, this afternoon, for places like Nebraska, parts of Nebraska and Missouri and northern Illinois, so maybe north of Carbondale. And then gets better again as you see in terms of cloud cover as we move further east toward Charleston here. But here in Charleston, we still have some breaks in the cloud. Where the sun is, it's still obscured. But we are able to actually see some of the partial eclipse here in Charleston through some of the breaks in cloud. But again, really wanted to show you guys that imagery from GOES 16 satellite from NOAA, showing you the moon's shadow actually being cast over parts of the western United States right now. With that, Dwayne, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
Thanks, Sean. Now, as a reminder, our broadcast is tracking the total solar eclipse as it crosses the United States. It's moving along a path of totality. That's a 70-mile wide path.
Clearing the sun on the west coast. Now, it's probably going to be much more than a half an hour before the moon has completely cleared right now. The peak was about 40 minutes ago in Kern County, just before 10:20 this morning. Now the moon continuing to make its way past the sun. 23 ABC's chief meteorologist Elena Rusk was at Casa Loma Elementary, hanging out with the kids, teaching a little bit of science about the eclipse, and joins us now live. What were you going over with the kids this morning?
Yeah, so we just had a lot of fun talking about the science behind it. When I showed up, they were already all assembled in the cafeteria, and they were watching the NASA live feed, which was pretty cool. I wanted to hijack the computer and send it over to Turn It 23, but that's obviously where we're finding all of you this morning, so thank you for joining us. Now, it's not too late to check out the solar eclipse. It is too late to get glasses at this point, because you only have until 11:43. But, Mike, if you can run outside real quick, you just take 2 pieces of paper, you get a pencil and poke just a little hole in one, and you're going to to use it like a viewing screen. So you put that second one on the ground, you cast the sun shadow through it, and it looks, as the kids told me today, like a banana, which is pretty exciting. So this was a lot of fun to do here. The kids were telling me that they were really excited to learn about the eclipse and then to get to see it in person. They and their principal and their teachers were all telling me that that helps cement it a little bit more for these kids, having a hands-on experience to really know what the science is doing and kind of also get that grasp of our Earth is round and it moves and there are other celestial bodies that have an influence on us. Now, one note for the weather that I thought was fascinating. All of the teachers and adults out here with me today were saying, it's cooler. It got cooler. So I called the National Weather Service and I was like, hey, did we in fact get cooler? And unfortunately, Cindy, one of the meteorologists on staff there, said no, we didn't. She said temperatures kind of stalled up at Hanford. Now, when the eclipse started, it was about 75.1 degrees. And then about halfway through, when we reached totality for us here in Central California, she said it was about 74.6 or so. So there was a fraction of a difference, but it kind of stalled. She said that may be due to the loss of solar radiation, but it may also be up there that they have some clouds coming in and they also have a marine intrusion. That just means some fresh ocean air coming on shore. So no scientific weather data for us just yet, but it's something we'll all be analyzing today. And of course, we have meteorologists in the path of totality doing scientific experiments today on what this loss of solar radiation does to temperatures and to our weather, which has been pretty fascinating. And I'll be sure to share all of that on my Facebook page. Live here at Casa Loma Elementary, Chief Meteorologist Elena Rusk. Mike, I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you. And it was kind of fascinating. Leah Pizzetti joining me from 10 to about 10:30. We were doing about a half an hour there. And the one thing that was a lot of fun was seeing all the different camera shots from across the country, knowing that it's moving as it's going. It started out in Madras, Oregon. Now I guess it's almost over to a full eclipse in Carbondale, Illinois. I think they're experiencing the full solar eclipse right about now.
Yeah, no, it was so cool to watch. Bad news here in Bakersfield, it's over for us. Yeah, you can see it's pretty bright outside, 80 degrees right now. It will clear on out just before noon, so we still have a little bit of time. We're watching these storms roll on in. You can see this evening, we're looking at a little bit of cloud coverage. Our mountain communities are looking at the highest chances of storms. In Bakersfield, we're just looking at a couple clouds for the most part, hanging out in those 90s through the beginning of this week, headed into triple digits for the end of the week. And Kern River Valley, looking at those storms, hanging out in those 90s through most of the week. Tehachapi also watching storms in the 80s through most of the week. Fraser Park in the 70s back into those 80s. So our mountain communities, chances of storms here in Bakersfield, we're looking at pretty clear skies.
Taking another look now at NASA's picture of the eclipse from Oregon. They were the first to see the eclipse. It lasted about 1 minute and 58 seconds. The longest viewing will be at Carbondale, which it's like right about now when Carbondale, Illinois is going to get their eclipse for about 2 minutes and 40 some odd seconds that the sun will be completely blacked out. Walked outside right after we went off the air at 10:35, and it did feel cooler, but according to Elena, they're going to be analyzing that data a little bit more as the days progress. More pictures that are popping up. This is from Indianapolis. We showed this to you earlier as they're getting closer to their total eclipse. We were taking a look at this shot, and as you can kind of see it right there. You can kind of see the clouds. They have been inundated with cloud cover, so it's nice that they're getting this. Nashville, another one of the most populated cities that's getting a direct hit from the total solar eclipse. They had clouds all morning, and we're told right now it's completely cleared out, and they are getting a great view of their eclipse, which should be coming up in just a few moments. This, I think, is, go ahead and let's take this picture. Oh, I thought we were going to have the flamingos. Can we go back to the flamingos shot, perhaps? No? We're kind of cycling around through different satellites. If I am not mistaken, this is the Nashville Zoo. This is a picture from the Nashville Zoo, and they were talking about how the flamingos would be affected. What did I say? No, flamingos would be affected by the eclipse. Going into darkness and in the middle of the day, kind of confusing them. But as you can see, everything's fine. The flamingos are just fine. No problem there. We're going to continue to monitor this and kind of jump around through different people's vantage points in the next couple of minutes before we send you back to NASA's picture to close out the total solar eclipse 2017. Well, the state's electric grid is potentially expected to see a major drop in supply today. We're monitoring that. Energy experts say more than 6,000 megawatts, which is enough energy to power millions of homes, will need to be generated to help the grid offset the loss of the sun. Officials say they'll need to tap into other resources like thermal and wind energy to keep people's lights on who normally rely on solar.
We're going to lose many more megawatts than maybe other parts of the country. From the solar perspective, but that's okay. I mean, we've been dealing with this for many years now, and we expect it to grow as we move forward. So we've learned how to manage it, and we learned how to ensure that we always keep reliable grid.
Energy experts also say they're concerned about a potential power surge once it's over, and they're advising people to conserve power during the event to avoid possible blackouts. And like we said, in Bakersfield, it'll be completely over sometime here in the next 30 minutes or so. If you missed it, you can always watch it again on our 23ABC Facebook page. We also have special coverage on our website, turnto23.com. On television, we'll have team coverage tonight, including a reporter in Oregon on 23 ABC News at 5. Then World News Tonight will continue the coverage at 5:30. In other news at this hour, developing out of Ridgecrest, a man's been arrested on suspicion of attacking his wife and killing his neighbor. There's an update to the story that we first talked about on 23 ABC News this morning. Investigators now saying 62-year-old Jose Romero was attacking his wife when she ran to a neighbor's home Sunday night. That's where deputies say Romero shot his neighbor. She was found dead in her home. He was arrested and booked on several charges, including murder, assault with a deadly weapon, and spousal abuse. It was a busy weekend for law enforcement as they continue to investigate several homicides across Bakersfield. It all began early Saturday morning when deputies responded to a shooting in the 5000 block of College Avenue in East Bakersfield. When they arrived, they found a man suffering from several gunshot wounds. He died at the scene. Just 2 hours later, Bakersfield police responded to a shooting on Williams Street. That's also located in East Bakersfield. This is the crime scene right here. To find another man murdered, the BPD has released photographs of a potential suspect. Take a look right here. I know it's grainy. The man in the picture, possibly white or Hispanic with a heavy build, driving a newer model red Kia Forte. And a family in Oildale is mourning the loss of 48-year-old Arnold Ford. Ford was stabbed to death on Sanford Drive. Now, KCSO has yet to release any suspect information in that murder. If you have any information, you're urged to contact the Sheriff's Department. And it was another rescue on the Kern River after a Tehachapi man became stranded. Sunday morning, a team was called out to Keysville near Lake Isabella after a man became stranded on a rock in the middle of the river. Kern Valley Search and Rescue teamed up with the county fire department to get him to safety. The man was rescued from the water, was not seriously injured. A woman accused of planning her husband's murder in Tehachapi following a love triangle is headed to court tomorrow. Sabrina Lamone's attorney has entered a motion for a change of venue. She was due in court today, but it has been pushed to tomorrow. Defense attorneys can request a change if they believe there is a possibility that the person will not receive a fair trial due to exposure or potential bias. Lamone's accused of conspiring with her lover, Jonathan Hearn, to kill her husband, Robert, in 2014. Hearn, who is already serving 25 years after taking a plea deal, testified against Lamone, saying he shot Robert while he was working at a Tehachapi rail yard. One man's behind bars after being arrested for gun and weapons violations last night. It all happened on Miller Street in East Bakersfield. Officials were searching 18-year-old Edgar Salas's car when they found this, a loaded .22. He was arrested as a result. A downtown Bakersfield charity thrift store is asking for your help this morning after their free library was stolen. The Rags to Rescue store on H Street had a vintage phone booth, that right there, outside until recently. The booth was purchased with the goal of making it into one of the free libraries, you see. Rags to Rescue, which benefits Halt Dog Rescue, got a grant from the Californian Foundation to stock that with animal-oriented books. But it was stolen before the plan could be carried out. If you take a good look at it, if you know where it is, the store is asking for it to be returned, no questions asked. Vice President Mike Pence will be headed to Bakersfield next month, all for a series of fundraisers being held for the GOP. The Vice President will be joined by Bakersfield Congressman and House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy. They'll be here for a breakfast fundraiser on Friday, September 15th, kind of a whirlwind trip. Pence and McCarthy will also be hosting stop-offs in Sacramento, Beverly Hills, and Newport Beach. The fundraisers will benefit what's being called California Victory 2018. Let's get some preseason football over the weekend. Bakersfield native Derek Carr making headlines, not for his play on the field, but for what happened before the game. Carr was asked questions about this after Saturday night's game, putting his hand on the shoulder of defensive end Khalil Mack during the national anthem. When questions started to pop up about the gesture, the Bakersfield Christian grad said, quote, "They just wanted to show all the kids who look up to me and look up to him that white kids, black kids, brown kids can all be loving to each other, and that's what me and Khalil are." American Idol is returning, and you can be able to catch all of it right here on 23 ABC, and there's a chance you might get lucky enough to see a local singer in Hollywood. This weekend, thousands of people lined up in Oakland for their chance at becoming the next idol. One of those in attendance was Bakersfield's own Natalia Mallory. And during her audition, she nailed every note and was able to move on to the next phase.
So I would say, like, to kids, just don't put yourself in a box. Don't think that just because you've done something for so long, because I've been dancing and teaching, it's time for me to make a break and change something up. And that's what I need to do. Listen to your heart and what you need to do and what feeds your body so you can put out good into the world, and don't suppress any dreams that you have.
Now, while this was just the first step in the process, you can still audition online. American Idol will return starting at the beginning of the year. Covering education this morning, students in Taft and Boron made the trip back to school this morning. Today, the first day of class for the Taft City and Muroc Joint Unified School Districts. Hundreds of kids will be reuniting with friends, picking up their class schedules, and, of course, having a nice lunch of sloppy joes. No, I don't even think they do that anymore. Yeah, school districts in Kern County, Bakersfield City School, Kern High School District, they were both headed back to class last week. All right, let's bring in Elena Rusk once again and talk about your little lesson, your class this morning at Casa Loma.
My class, I gathered up all my kids and I said, let's go not look at the sun. It was hilarious, almost like herding cats. They were so well behaved, but when you're teaching them about the sun, what's the first thing you do? You want to look at the sun, but obviously we wanted to protect their little eyes, so we emphasized several times to keep their backs to the sun, and we all marched out in groups. I had about 450 fourth graders, so I took them at a class at a time, and we went outside with our pieces of paper and we held our back to the sun and did pinhole projectors with shadows, and it was so much fun seeing their excitement, talking to them about science. They had so many questions about the Earth's rotation and the moon's orbit and our orbit around the sun and the seasons and why all of this is happening. And it was awesome. I was geeking out full blown. So if you have any questions, now that the eclipse is wrapping up, you still have until 11:43 this morning to check it out on your pinhole projector. Just find me on Facebook. You can find our 23ABC Facebook page. I'll be monitoring it all day, seeing all of the feeds coming in, because this is fascinating, and it was really neat to have hands-on science with the kids this morning. We'll have a wrap tonight on 23ABC News at 5 and 6. And until then, Mike, I'm going to send it back to you. Live from Casa Loma Elementary, Chief Meteorologist Elena Rusk.
You know, you could get a gig as a substitute teacher.
Yes! That would be awesome.
All right, thanks, Elena. If you missed it, you can always watch it again on our 23ABC Facebook page. We'll have special coverage continuing on our website, turnto23.com. Tonight on television, we've got team coverage, including a reporter in Oregon who's going to recap all the action there tonight on 23ABC News at 5. Then World News Tonight continues their coverage at 5:30. In fact, ABC is continuing their coverage as they have reporters spread out all across the country right now. We are going to return you to their coverage of the ongoing, well, that's going on right now on Channel 23. Let's go back to NASA's coverage as they take a variety of different camera angles. Here's Blackwell, Missouri, as they're getting ready to enjoy their total eclipse just seconds away before they go completely black. And we'll continue to pop up different camera shots for the next little while. Don't forget, in Bakersfield, we should be cleared up. And there goes Blackwell, Missouri right there. Our eclipse will be ending completely, as Elena just mentioned, right about 11:43, so just under 30 minutes from now. You can catch our coverage tonight at 5 and 6, and just continue to monitor Turn to 23 and our 23 ABC Facebook page, Twitter. We'll post as many videos and pictures as we can. Thanks for watching.
Because, you know, in all of the preparation for this great American eclipse, TJ, you know what I'm talking about, is that so many of the scientists said it all has to do with like a fleeting moment and whether or not a system is passing by with a particular type of cloud that's going to be stubborn. And you guys have brought us into the drama. You've got 45 seconds there, and it all depends on the weather system above you.
And it's getting incredibly dark right now. We're getting a huge change in the light, and that little sliver is going away.
It is, David. If you guys can see this, and they're instructing us, I know, in the control room to put your glasses on. But right now we have a pretty obstructed view of the sun right now. It's barely peeking through one little gap, but it's still pretty much covered by clouds. And frankly, I have these glasses on, and I cannot see a thing up there. We are hitting that moment of totality, so even if you can't see the sun being blocked out right now, we're experiencing this all around us. Go ahead, my photographer here, he can show you this crowd. We got 15,000 people gathered out here for this party, and they're feeling these effects all around. This cool moment, we just turned to night, right? And people are taking this in. A lot of people do have the cameras out. A lot of people don't have them up at all and just are kind of in awe of the moment. And I said this earlier on Twitter. When this started, this ceased being a work assignment. You just become a kid again. You feel like you're in third, fourth grade science class once again, studying. So all around us, darkness has fallen, without question. But
hey,
people
TJ.
are unfortunately not getting the experience of having these glasses on. Go ahead, my man.
You know, we talked about this earlier. We mentioned the areas in America where your mind is going to be blown and where your heart could be broken by whatever the weather system is above you. I got to tell you, you got a minute 48 seconds left of max totality there in Carbondale. And as folks at home are sort of feeling this moment with everybody in that stadium just hoping for the cloud to pass, because you see huge chunks of blue sky above you. So we're with you on this. I should mention for people watching our coverage right now is that this city is one of the very few cities in the path of totality just a few years from now in 2024. TJ had mentioned this earlier. It's sort of a rare thing. You know, the next path, TJ, is going to be from the south in Texas, coming across from Mexico into Texas and straight up to the northeast, almost the opposite of the diagonal we're seeing this time.
Well, David, I don't know if that was meant to comfort us here necessarily, but yeah, we got 7 years. You tell me I got to wait 7 years, then I can come back here and try it again, essentially. But that's what we have in this moment. This was such a build-up, and I'm telling you, and you know, you've been covering and you've been talking about this all day, and just what everybody put into this was essentially a once-in-a-lifetime event for people. Here in Carbondale, it's a once-in-a-7-year event. So if there was any place that wasn't necessarily going to see it and was going to get cloud cover, maybe it's this place, and maybe they'll come back again in 7 years. But right now, you can't tell that there's disappointment. All right, there we go. If you can, David, we're starting to get a little break in the cloud. And if you can't update me about the clock, we might be under 30 seconds left of totality. But we got a cloud that's really messing with us right now, David.
Oh, we feel your pain there. 18 seconds left. If anything changes, TJ, we'll come right back to you. As you mentioned, if any place they can handle the clouds or a moment of
there it is.
Indecisive
there it is.
Weather. Oh, you can see it. You can see a little sliver. Look, with 5 seconds left. That's the gift to Carbondale, Illinois. Look at that.
Oh, there we go.
Just a hint right there, just before it ended. What an extraordinary gift right there in the last final few seconds.
We'll take it, David. We'll take it.
All right, TJ, thanks to you. We're going to come back to you in just a moment. I want to get to Kelly, Kentucky up next because Kelly, Kentucky, Peyton Sandella is standing by. Peyton, you had amazing reporting from Kelly, Kentucky over the weekend. You know, it's known, this particular place in Kentucky, because of something that happened back in 1955 on this very day. Peyton, I can see the bright sunshine that actually pretends an excellent moment on the way of totality. If you can see the sun, you're about to see nighttime, hopefully.
That's right. It is rapidly getting darker here, David, as we approach totality. And you're right. This eclipse happens on the 62nd anniversary of what many believe was an alien encounter just a few hundred yards from here, which is why we have a few little green men and some big green men here to join us here today. You know, this has been such a celebratory mood here, really a nationwide block party. People have been coming from all over the Hopkinsville, Kelly area. People have come from 47 states and 20 countries. Even from Africa, there are visitors here. We met a couple from Sweden. It is now getting much darker here. And I'm going to step out of the way and put on my glasses for a second. Just a tiny sliver of the sun left here, David. And we
Clayton,
are in
you've got
darkness.
14 seconds. Clayton, you keep your eye to the sky there with your glasses. You've got 2 seconds to totality. And just look at the reaction in Kelly, Kentucky.
There we go.
The length of their totality is about
Absolutely incredible.
2 minutes, 30 seconds to the end of their totality. You can see everybody with their phones there and their eyewear. You know, normally about 3,000 people in Kelly, Kentucky. Tens of thousands are there now to take this in.
Yeah, about 32,000 in Hopkinsville, but they expected about 150,000 people to show up, and I think they have, David. This is one of the points of greatest eclipse, and they have been planning for this for a very long time. 10 years in Hopkinsville, and I want to talk to Angela, who's here from college in New York, and you have been planning for a long time.
Yes, my friend Mary and I, we've been planning since we were like 10 to come here.
10 years old you have been planning this, and you're 20 years old now, so you've been planning this for a decade.
A long time.
Why was it so important for both of you to be here for this today?
Because we made it so long ago that like it just meant that our friendship would like last forever, and we didn't even know we were gonna be friends 10 years ago.
Exactly.
We didn't think this was possible. We go to college in 2 different states now, so it's just wild that we're here.
How does it feel to see this now? Now that you've waited 10 years, what is it like?
I literally have chills. Like, this is the greatest moment ever.
You're shaking.
Oh my God, I'm shaking. This is insane. This is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. It's a once-in-a-lifetime moment. Like,
David, as I look up here, we can actually see the planet Venus. The planet Venus is in the sky, in the night sky here at almost 2:30 in the afternoon. We can see Venus at this point here in Kelly, Kentucky.
It's safe to look, right?
I love the fact that you can see Venus. Clayton Zadell in Kelly, Kentucky, talking about the fact that you can see stars, you can see planets. You know, in many parts of the country, Mercury, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, obviously the sun's corona, the brightest star in the Leo constellation, and as he just mentioned, Venus in the middle of the day in Kelly, Kentucky. And, you know, he can't see this, nor can the little green monsters who dress. But we can. They've got about 8 seconds left, and keep your eyes on that image to the left of your screen as we watch nighttime turn back into daytime in Kelly, Kentucky. This is also one of the clearest moments we've seen since we came on the air about an hour and a half ago.
The weather has been extraordinarily clear. We had a few high clouds, but otherwise crystal clear blue skies. The temperature dropped about 8 degrees here since earlier in the day.
All right, Clayton, I want to thank you. I see that some of the green monsters have reappeared.
They have, and also if I can have the crowd part here, guys, we can show you behind. We've got a little spacecraft that has landed here in Kelly.
So, spacecraft. I love it. Clayton, we're going to come back to you in just a second because I can't miss Ginger Z in Nashville. Ginger's been waiting for this all afternoon, and it's like it's approaching, isn't it, Ginger? 1 minute, 10 seconds to go.
It is so close. It is so close, David. And here we are on top of Tootsie's rooftop. There is a cloud that is just above us right now, but I got to show you, everybody has poured out of the honky-tonks, and they are standing in the street ready for the moment of their life. We really are so excited. And I'm telling you, we are going to come down to the wire. We're playing chicken a lot like TJ was. I loved hearing all of the coverage. I've loved seeing it. Gareth, we've been watching everybody else. You came all the way from...
We came all the way from the UK, Hereford in England, to come and see this event.
And we are moments away, and that cloud is just so close.
It's amazing. I dragged my missus Rose all the way, over 4,000 miles to come and see this.
And what are you feeling right now? How are you feeling right now?
Amazing. It's like, I can't believe it.
It's a religious experience.
It is. And it feels as if it's gone to nighttime. It feels very good because it's cooled down considerably.
Now it's like the temperature in England. It's like being back home.
But we are so close. I'm telling you, David, this image above us is not yet stunning because it is almost heartbreaking at this point. But guys, we still have time. We've got just a couple of seconds yet. You can see the lights here in Nashville from our drone above. The party's ongoing. No matter what happens, you can feel the energy. You can feel the excitement. I can see the hue in the sky, the pinks, and almost as if it is just twilight. Right? It's coming back. We're starting to see the edges of the clouds light up again. Oh, so close here.
Can we see what you're looking at, Ginger?
Oh my goodness, guys, we are, and the light is coming back. So I think so far we've missed it. Are you guys doing all right?
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah? Apparently it doesn't matter. I think a couple of the libations may have helped. I can't hear you, David, but I will head back in until we see something again.
As daylight reappears there in Nashville, but if there's ever a happy city in this country, it's Nashville. They can handle a few clouds, and you're helping to usher them right through that. You know, 5 state capitals, including Nashville today.
Like the eye of a hurricane. I can feel the energy of nature, and I've been really fortunate to be in the path and be able to see very close-up tornadoes in the past. And as people are describing what they're feeling, it's almost a strange joy when you see a tornado that's not affecting anyone, when nature has that power, when it has that energy. And I think that's what a lot of people are starting to describe here. Even we can see the crepuscular rays coming through. You see those angelic rays coming through those clouds. The temperature has dropped already at least 7 degrees just with the clouds and the eclipse that is passing. Even if we didn't see that full image here in Nashville, it was still such a gorgeous moment. And it's almost like we're at sunrise again, right here, right? Doesn't it? It's as if we passed an entire day. That was a quick day, everybody. That was fast. All right, let's head back into
Ginger Z in Nashville. Ginger, our thanks to you, Ginger. You know, we might be up against the same challenge here in Charleston. I'm going to look up right now because I can't see a thing in front of me. But I can see up to the sky, and I have to tell you, for the first time in about an hour, we can't see anything through the clouds. So we might be faced with the same sort of moment that Ginger had. But, you know, you saw what happened with TJ. You had that entire stadium filled in Carbondale, Illinois, which is actually going to see another total solar eclipse in 2024. They're one of the rarities that are going to see this in just a couple of years. And then the sun came out at the very last second. They were able to see totality. So when we come back here, only one more state to go to view a total eclipse. South Carolina, here we come. As we take you to break, we thank you for sending in your pictures, your images. We're going to show what many of you at home have captured throughout the day. As our coverage of the great American eclipse, that's former Vice President Dick Cheney with his hat on, capturing the eclipse. You can see the eyewear elsewhere. That's Senator Lindsey Graham taking a moment from Capitol Hill to take in the great American eclipse and some of the faces around this country. Little guys staying home from school today, you know, and across the South, they had a big dilemma where school has reopened, whether or not to take the day off or not. We know here in Charleston, they've allowed them to stay home today. But it was a dilemma for some schools. I say take the day off. This only comes once. It's been 99 years since we waited for this. The Great American Eclipse on ABC. Live coverage continues right after the break.
They took their brand new 2018 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross and put it in the path of totality just outside Salem, Oregon. They've taken cameras and put angles on this car with the eclipse in the background from all different angles. And I'm telling you right now, ABC is getting this exclusive look before, during, and after the eclipse. These images are something that are going to come together for a whole
Hey, listen,
campaign.
Mark, we have a great shot
really
here. We have a great shot in Charleston
for the eclipse
of the sun
to come together. All right, David, we're going to head back to you now.
Ginger, thanks so much from Nashville. Ginger Z reporting in from Nashville all afternoon. They got a little cheated. They weren't able to see the actual eclipse itself, but they saw it turn pitch black there in Nashville. I want to show you the sky above me right here in Charleston because we're playing a game with the clouds here too. But you can see a sliver of the sun. You can see right through those clouds. And we are not far from max totality here. It's 2:38. We've got less than 10 minutes before it actually gets put to the test here. But we're like so many communities across the country who are waiting to see whether or not we'll see this, this natural wonder. Carbondale, Illinois, at the very last second, the clouds cleared in that city and they were able to see it. In Nashville right before us, it was a game with the clouds. But you're looking live. That was just aerials of Charleston behind me, beautiful city. And we are surrounded by big, puffy, white sort of cumulus clouds on the lower end. The higher end, we'd have to ask Ginger and Rob. But I want to go back to Columbia, South Carolina. They're not far, obviously, from here. We're the last state before this great American eclipse heads out to sea. And as we mentioned before, these happen, once a year, but we often don't see them because they're over water, and we were lucky this year. Let's go to President Trump, who is on the Truman balcony at the White House right now. They're getting ready to look out over the South Lawn. Because a reminder that so many of you at home watching us know that even if you're not in the path, that 70-mile wide path, it looks like he's heading back indoors, is he not? But even if you're not in the path, so much of this country is experiencing this today. If it's not a total eclipse, it's a partial eclipse, anywhere from 20% to 100%. Cities like Atlanta seeing, 90% coverage. You can see them looking up from the balcony right there with their glasses on. The president behind that pillar there he is, coming out with Melania, the First Lady, Melania Trump, emerging as they take in what is a breathtaking view. I hope somebody gave the president and the First Lady some approved glasses by NASA. We do know that South Carolina is the next and last state before it heads out to sea, and I want to check in with Rachel Scott, who is in Columbia, South Carolina. Rachel, perhaps you can give us a taste of what we're up against too. What are you seeing?
Hey, David, well, I can tell you that, skies here were a little bit cloudy. People were very concerned, but now those skies have cleared. We are getting a clear view. Very exciting here. The party got started here with a baseball game just behind me. The Columbia Fireflies were facing off against the Rome Braves. But of course, today is all about the eclipse and the totality of it. So I'm going to put on my glasses and get a look here. And we are almost there. I can tell you just a slither is left. We are less than probably 10% here. And I do want to talk to Doug, who's standing next to me. Doug, this is not your first time seeing an eclipse.
No, it is not.
So tell me, when was the last time you saw one?
Well, the last time I clearly remember was 1970. I was visiting cousins in Boston, and it was a partial eclipse, but it got cold all of a sudden, as it is now. And we said, wait, what happened? And we realized it was the eclipse.
All right, so we do feel it getting a little bit cooler here. As you know, David, it is very hot, and the crowds are starting to cheer. Putting our glasses back on as we are getting closer and closer to that totality. Just a little bit of way to go here, and a lot of people were very concerned because of the heat. Extremely hot in South Carolina, but we're feeling those temperatures get a lot cooler as they are dropping down right now. And we are seeing it. We're almost there. You can hear the crowd here. So excited to see this full totality. And here we go. Just a little bit more to go here, David. And there we have it. We are in complete totality. Everyone is taking off their glasses right now. You can see a lot of kids yelling and screaming. They are very excited as we reach the full totality here. in Columbia, South Carolina. The totality is expected to last 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and we are just taking this all in, basking in this right now. What a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for all of the people that are here in Columbia, South Carolina, that traveled from all over the country and, frankly, all over the world for this amazing and incredible sight.
Rachel, we can tell you you've got 1 minute 55 seconds left of max totality there in Columbia, South Carolina. You can see it on your screen right there. They're all gathered in the stadium. It's gone dark there. So many children and families gathered. And, you know, we should mention that Columbia, South Carolina is one of 5 state capitals. This is so rare. This is why this is one of the most tweeted, they say probably the most viewed natural wonder ever when it comes to these solar eclipses, because of the number of populated cities that were in the path of this total solar eclipse in America. You know, you've got Columbia, South Carolina, Nashville, Jefferson City, Missouri. You had Salem, Oregon, Lincoln, Nebraska, all these state capitals that were right in the path. And look, it is pitch black right now in Columbia, the capital, of course, of South Carolina. As we look at the pictures, you can see the corona around the sun there. Rachel's smile as well. I want to bring in on the phone, as we're looking at these pictures, Bonnie Tyler, because last I checked, Bonnie, your song from the 1980s was the #1 song right now on iTunes. Did you ever think that was about to happen again?
Well, that doesn't... Well, you know, just a couple of weeks ago it hit the 300 million mark, and that was before the eclipse. Yeah. But it's amazing. And I just sang it live with DNC, and fabulous.
We should mention, as you can hear right now,
turn around. And again.
This is one of those moments, this natural wonder we're experiencing, and me in a split screen with Bonnie Tyler is something I never thought I would witness. Total Eclipse of the Heart is now the most downloaded song on iTunes today, #1, for obvious reasons. And Bonnie Tyler, great to have you on with us. We love the song in the 80s, and we love it in 2017. Yeah. Have a great time on that cruise with that crowd. I want to show you what we're seeing here right where I am in Charleston. If you look up, you can actually see right here in South Carolina, that is the view that we're looking at right here. As we now approach, we have 1 minute 35 seconds to the next totality, which is right where I'm standing in, of course, Charleston. We just watched it in Columbia, the state capital, and what an extraordinary sight they saw in that stadium. And I've got to tell you, I'm surrounded by an incredibly gifted crew, but no one is looking at me right now. They are looking at the sky as they should be. They are capturing the moment. They all have their glasses on. And we are standing on the People's Building, appropriately enough, here in Charleston. And I mentioned earlier in the program, President Taft came to this rooftop in the 1920s because it was one of the best views in this great American city. And now we are taking in the Great American Eclipse. The final stop in a big city, at least, here in the continental United States before this Great American Eclipse heads out to sea. It is pitch black. You can hear cheers throughout the city. You probably can't hear it at home, but you can hear it as we stand on the rooftop of this building. We have gone into complete darkness. And we have watched this play out in so many cities across this country before it even got to us. And there's nothing you can do to prepare for it. It is just breathtaking. People are applauding throughout the harbor. And anyone who's ever been to Charleston knows it's one of the prettiest cities in America. They were so excited and so welcoming, everyone who helped put this production together on this rooftop. And they are now taking it in. If we can look up, and we can see that we are now in a total eclipse. You can see the corona around the sun, which is one of those rare moments where we here on Earth, with the naked eye, can actually see that outer atmosphere of the sun, which we all know is a lot warmer than the sun itself. And we're, of course, waiting for, as it now then comes out of totality in about 56 seconds or so, we'll see that diamond ring again. And we've seen it play over and over again. The diamond ring and Bailey's beads, obviously named after Francis Bailey, the great astronomer who first coined the sunlight peeking its way through the valleys and the craters of the moon. And that's what creates those beads, that beaded effect. And here it comes. We've got 25 seconds left here in Charleston. And you can see how, blessed the folks at Charleston are and we feel, because look at the cloud cover on the right screen. You can see how many clouds are in the sky. We did not know whether or not this would work for us or not. But we are seeing it. We are seeing it. It's quite visible to the naked eye. We're watching this with so many scientists who joined us today, former astronauts. I want to bring in Dr. Hakeem Oluseyi. And as you take in this image with us, Hakeem, what do you make of the fact that we have all been able to witness now the diamond ring we're seeing, the flash of light, as now darkness and nighttime turns back into daylight here in Charleston? What an extraordinary thing to witness.
It completely is. And I've been chasing eclipses for over a decade. And typically it's in places that are far flung around the world. Ghana, Mangaya in the South Pacific. And it's a small group of people that travel all over the world to visit these. But now here we've had one coast to coast across America. The countries come together and we've all celebrated and we've all participated. It's like a big sporting event, except it's a big science event.
I've got to tell you, Hakeem, I'm really struck by the luck that kicked in across this continent, from the West Coast to the East Coast, with the exception of Nashville, and they were such good sports about it. But, the clouds parted ways just when it mattered most in so many of these cities along the path to allow Americans to see something that we haven't seen in 99 years. We saw the last one in 79, 38 years ago. That was only part of the country, but this is so unique. It's only the United States. We haven't co-opted this solar eclipse. That's not why we're calling it the Great American Eclipse. We're calling it that because only the United States, the continental United States, is actually seeing this today.
That's right. And what's amazing about it is that it goes from the West Coast to the East Coast. It is indeed a very, very rare event. And here we are all to witness it. And we're at a time where we have all this technology. And this means that not only the people who are on the line of totality get to see it, but it gets to go into homes all around the world. Everyone gets to share in the excitement. Everyone gets to share in the beautiful views. And if you're on the line of totality, you get the full experience. You get to experience the sun going dark. You get to experience the air getting cool. You get to see the shadow of the moon racing across the countryside. I tell you, it's really something, and it's so amazing. You understand why people travel all over the world to see them. I'm one of those people, and now I think many more are going to be inspired to join us.
It really puts us in our place as far as our role in the cosmos, doesn't it? The fact that we here on Earth are part of something much bigger.
That's right. We are. We are the universe itself, right? We are the universe become conscious and able to witness itself. And today we've witnessed something that's, it's extraordinary. And, we're really connected to the sun and the moon because it all started at what we call the solar nebula. And as the planets condensed, eventually us humans came about. And here we are to build instruments in order to see it and to witness it.
And I have to say, Doctor, we feel lucky right here in Charleston as well to have witnessed the lineup of the Earth, the Moon, and the Sun in the way we haven't seen in our lifetime. When we come back, our coverage of the Great American Eclipse continues as it moves out to sea. So many of you at home sending us your messages, your tweets, and your images. We'll be right back. Back in a moment. Welcome back to our coverage of the Great American Eclipse. You can see beautiful Charleston here behind me. If we take the jib cam, you can see that nighttime is turned back to daytime here in Charleston. And as we head back to break, I want to show you New York City, because so much of this country is experiencing at least a partial eclipse. They're expected to experience about 70% in New York City. Fingers crossed across this country that people will appreciate it in some way. As you see the Empire State Building off in the distance, we'll be right back.
The day after chemo might mean a trip back to the doctor's office, just for a shot. But why go back there when you can stay home with Neulasta Onpro?
Strong chemo can put you at risk of serious infection, which could lead to hospitalizations. In a key study, Neulasta reduced the risk of infection from 17% to 1%, a 94% decrease. Applied the day of chemo, Neulasta Onpro is designed to deliver Neulasta the next day, so you can stay home. Neulasta is for certain cancer patients receiving strong chemotherapy. Do not take Neulasta if you're allergic to Neulasta or Neupogen, filgrastim. Ruptured spleen, sometimes fatal as well as serious lung problems,
station flew over southern Canada, south of Hudson Bay, at an altitude of 252 statute miles, with a very, very unique view of today's solar eclipse. We're going to be talking with the crew in about 18 minutes from now and sharing some of that very, very unique video with you. It was spectacular, I must tell you, and digital still imagery that Randy Bresnik has captured throughout the course of the first 2 of 3 passes the station is making over the eclipse throughout the course of the day today. That has already been posted on social media and will continue to be posted as the day wears on. But we're looking very much forward to talking to the crew and getting their impressions and thoughts as they passed over the eclipse just about 40 minutes or so ago. So we'll be back to you in just a few minutes with the crew of Expedition 52 aboard the International Space Station. For now, back to you in Charleston, Dwayne. Thanks, Dwayne. You know, millions of people have been witness to this amazing event across the United States throughout the day today. But up on the International Space Station, members of the Expedition 52 crew have had a unique celestial front row seat to history. About an hour ago, the International Space Station flew 252 statute miles above the Earth over southern Canada as it made its way south of Hudson Bay with a tremendous view of the moon's shadow against the Earth. The moon covering about 44% of the sun during the second of 3 passes. You can see it in this animation right here. The crew were glued to the windows of the International Space Station with an HD video camera, with an armada of digital still cameras to capture every moment of those precious seconds. With us at this hour aboard the International Space Station in the Destiny laboratory of the complex are 4 of the members of the Expedition 52 crew, NASA flight engineers Peggy Whitson, Jack Fisher, and Randy Bresnik, and flight engineer Paolo Nespoli of the European Space Agency. Thank you all so much for joining us today on this historic day.
Yeah, it's been an exciting day for us to have the opportunity to see the eclipse from here.
Peggy, let's start with you. You were in the cupola with an HD video camera looking out at the limb of the Earth where the shadow appeared, capturing some spectacular video that we're going to replay here in a second. What were your thoughts and impressions as the station flew over the shadow of the Earth?
Well, I'd seen pictures from previous eclipses, and so I think I had underestimated what this would look like. This was much darker than I gave it credit for being. Unfortunately, it was kind of near the limb, near the edge of the Earth from our view, so several 100 miles away. But it still was impressive to be able to see that dark spot as we passed by.
For Randy Bresnik, Randy, you've been looking forward to this event for some time now. Your thoughts and impressions of the eclipse. You also shot digital still imagery of it as well. And what does a solar eclipse do to a human being? What does it do to a human being in terms of understanding our place in the universe?
That's certainly a big question. You look down at the size of the shadow, and you know, we've gotten used to the scope and scale of what the Earth looks like from here, and just understanding how many people will be affected by that. And a friend of mine the other day, you know, mentioned that, and it kind of really came to me, you know, we were actually looking at it, was that just a few hundred years ago, human beings wouldn't have even known that the eclipse was coming. And so here you are looking up, and all of a sudden the sun is disappearing. And you know, what are the thoughts for all of, you know, human existence, where everybody's looking up going, the gods must be angry at us, you know? And now we have the ability not only to know it's coming, people are excited about it. We know people that travel to go be under the umbra, you know, and making an event, you know, a celestial event. And for us, being able to witness it from above was just really special, because it represents how far we've come with the technology we have. I mean, look, we're on the International Space Station, where we're doing, you know, more than 250 different experiments and working with an international team. Look at where we're at. And so I look forward to the next time we have a full eclipse. Maybe we'll be taking pictures from a lot farther away.
For Jack Fisher, Jack, it's good to see you this afternoon. You sent a picture very early this morning of this raft of cameras that were laid out in the Destiny lab, ready to rock and roll to capture every second of this unique event. Was it awesome sauce ×2 for you?
Yes, it was awesome sauce ×2. And Rob, you know, this has been a huge coordination effort. Comrade Randy has been in charge of planning where all of us would be, and a little orchestra of which window, which camera. So he did a great job with that. I was actually supposed to be taking off a window pane or a scratch pane right now, but due to the lighting and how we're going about it, we don't really need to. So I got lucky and got to join all these folks for the PAO event. It was, you know, Peggy said she underestimated it. I definitely did. Just judging from the pictures, that spot was, you know, a lot darker and a lot larger than I thought it would be, and You know, I kind of was sitting in the Russian segment at the window thinking, you remember snipe hunts? I was like, man, this is kind of like a snipe hunt. I think somebody's pulling a joke on me. And then all of a sudden, this huge black shadow was going across the earth. So it was amazing, and it was cool to see from this vantage point. So absolutely awesome sauce times 3, Rob. 3 chocolate awesome sauce with a side of sun awesome sauce. I don't know. It was awesome, Rob.
For Paulo, we do remember 6 years ago, May of 2011, when you departed the International Space Station on a Soyuz vehicle to come home from your last flight. You took that signature picture of the shuttle Endeavour docked to the station with all of the other international partner components and vehicles linked up. How did today's experience compare with that moment 6 years ago?
Well, 6 years ago, I was kind of alone there on the Soyuz capsule taking pictures. So through the rest of the team, Dmitry Kondratiev was flying the Soyuz, and Katie Coleman was actually taking timing and telling me. But it was me with one camera and a video camera and taking picture. Here today we had, as you saw from the photo that Two Fish Jack sent this morning, we had an armada of equipment. We had multiple places. We were flying back and forth from the station to the cupola Russian segment, up and down, and it was a completely different orchestrated system. I was impressed too by the shadow passing by. I've seen some pictures. And I always, as a kid, I always thought the umbra would be kind of a square, defined square, but it was not. It's kind of a smudge, and this is interesting to actually see this with your own eyes.
Randy, let me go back to you for 1 second to follow up on what Paulo just touched upon. It must have been a photo feeding frenzy on board during those first 2 passes. You all have one more pass to go coming up shortly. Give us a sense of that choreography that your crewmates have explained on board. And was it everybody elbowing each other away from the windows, or how did it all work?
No, certainly everyone has their favorite things that they wanted to do, but we had to divide up the task because we couldn't have everybody doing the same thing. And so we even, took the still shots and said, okay, we're going to shoot this particular type and this particular speed from, this particular person, so we're going to vary it from over here to ensure that we were able to capture the images as best we could to share it with you all. Cupola was a little crowded because we had a bunch of cameras, a bunch of people, and the big thing was to try and not bump the video cameras. Sorry for the one you saw. But, when you see all the video and the pictures, it's not any one person that took them. It's the Expedition 52 crew, to include our Russian crewmates. And so that's where the credit goes, because everybody did their part, not, doing what they wanted to do, which is a definition of teamwork, and that's why we're here.
And Peggy, finally for you, you're less than 2 weeks away from returning to Earth after almost 10 months on the station, having logged more days in space than any American astronaut in history. How did this show today compare with some of the other major milestones you've witnessed and experienced during your 3 long-duration missions?
Well, I think having the privilege of being on 3 different long-duration missions has given me a lot of interesting experiences, and this is just another one to put in the history books for my memory. I really enjoyed seeing this, and I think maybe a little more than I expected to. And so it's just another little piece, another memory, another very special event, another very special day of this fantastic experience of being in space.
And down at Charleston, South Carolina, an old friend and colleague of yours, Mike Massimino, is standing by. He's got a question for you.
Something that you've seen, Peggy, you've been up there more than anyone, any other American, and all of you. Something that you've
even if they're more than compares to this, that you.
Well, I mean, I just feel like the whole experience of being here, of living here, is on a daily basis very special. There's just very special parts of each and every day. I do think this one is very nice. We've seen some incredible auroras lately. I've really enjoyed seeing scientific research getting completed, some really cool research getting completed. And of course, you can't beat the view during a spacewalk. But it's just a piece of this huge puzzle of why being in space is so beautiful.
Back here in Mission Control, for all of you, an amazing day and an amazing opportunity to share a few minutes with the Expedition 52 crew. I'd like to thank Peggy Whitson, Randy Bresnick, Jack Fisher, and Paulo Nespoli for their time today. And for you, Peggy and Jack, and your crewmate Fyodor Yurchikin, soft landing in your Soyuz on September 3rd. You all be well and fly safe. And with that, Dwayne, we'll toss it back to you at Eclipse Central in Charleston, South Carolina.